Chapter 1570. The middle-aged man seemed to be satisfied with the village chief's attitude. He nodded and said, "Since you all live here, do you know when the phoenix's cry started in the Tianfeng Plains?" "About half a month ago. It was very loud then, but it seems to be getting weaker now." The village chief answered honestly. "Oh, half a month ago? Do you have any legends about the Tianfeng Plains in your village? Tell me in detail." The middle-aged man instructed. The village chief told them about the legends of the Tianfeng Plains in detail. After the village chief finished, the Sky Divinity sect members frowned and fell into deep thought. They then scanned the village chief's courtyard, hoping to find some clues. Suddenly, the middle-aged man's eyes lit up. He stepped out and appeared in front of a chair in the courtyard. He looked at it carefully and was surprised. Phoenix incense wood. This is actually made of phoenix incense wood. Phoenix incense wood is actually used to make a chair. What a waste! With that, he waved his hand and kept the chair. The other middle-aged men were envious and looked around. "That chair is also made of phoenix incense wood, and this steamer is also made of phoenix incense wood." The middle-aged men's eyes lit up. They moved quickly and kept all these things. "Haha, the bed inside is also made of phoenix incense wood." The young man laughed and was about to rush into the room. "Hey, why are you acting like bandits? That's my bed. Where am I supposed to sleep if you take it away?" Feng Ling could not help but shout. "What did you say?" The middle-aged man turned around and a powerful aura pressed down on Feng Ling. Feng Ling's body trembled, and she stepped back. Blood flowed out of her mouth. However, Feng Ling was extremely stubborn and wanted to say something again. The village chief quickly went forward and stopped Feng Ling. He cupped his fists and bowed to the Sky Divinity sect members. "Please forgive her. My granddaughter is young and insensible. You are all heroes. Please don't lower yourself to her level. Keep her mouth shut. Otherwise, she won't even know how she died." The middle-aged man said coldly. The village chief nodded. The middle-aged man walked into the room and took away Feng Ling's bed. Bang! At this time, in another part of the village, a wooden house suddenly collapsed. Smoke and dust filled the air as several green-robed youths took away a wooden pillar. It was clear that other than the celestial sect's large man and a few others, there were others who came to the village and discovered the phoenix incense wood. "There's more in the other houses. Let's go. Don't let the poison sect take everything." When the heavenly divinity sect's men saw this, they hurriedly rushed to the other villagers' houses. In their eyes, this village was simply a treasure trove. Before anyone else discovered it, they had to plunder it clean. A few burly men from the celestial sect rushed to the houses of the other villagers and began to plunder without restraint. When a villager tried to stop them, they were sent flying with a slap. "Grandpa, what kind of sect are these disciples of? They're like bandits." Feng Ling felt indignant. "Sigh, the world of martial arts has always been one where the strong prey on the weak." Village chief sighed. In the next moment, his expression changed greatly as he cried out, "Not good! That's the ancestral hall!" After saying that, the village head hurriedly rushed towards the largest stone house. Feng Ling hurriedly followed. At this time, the burly men from the celestial sect and the green-robed youths had already arrived in front of the stone house. The memorial tablets inside are actually made of phoenix incense wood. "We're rich, we're rich." A burly man from the celestial sect cried out in surprise, "That's ours." The green-robed youth's eyes lit up. "Don't even think about it. We found it first." The middle-aged man from the celestial sect said. They strode forward and were about to rush into the stone house. Sirs, wait a moment." The village head rushed over and stopped in front of the stone house. He bowed repeatedly. "Old man, what are you doing? Why aren't you scramming?" The middle-aged man berated. "Sirs, the memorial tablets of our ancestors are in there. Please don't take them away. This old man is begging you." The village head knelt down and kowtowed repeatedly. The memorial tablets of the ancestors of the village were placed in the stone house. He could take everything else, but he could not allow anyone to take those memorial tablets away. Otherwise, how could he face his ancestors? "Old man, scram!" The middle-aged man kicked the village head out and smashed the wall of the stone house. The village head lay on the ground and vomited blood. "Grandpa!" Foamling shouted and rushed to the village head. She helped him up and was relieved when she saw that the village head was only injured. She then glared at the burly men and scolded. "You're the disciples of a big sect. You're no different from robbers. No, you're worse than robbers. How dare you snatch the memorial tablets of other people's ancestors? Little bitch, what did you say? You're courting death." The middle-aged man exuded a cold, killing intent. He took a step forward and appeared in front of Fongling. He slapped his palm towards Fongling. The middle-aged man had used some of his strength in this slap. With Fongling's cultivation, she would definitely die from this slap. However, the middle-aged man's palm was caught by a big hand halfway through. A black-faced young man appeared in front of Fongling and grabbed the middle-aged man's wrist. The black-faced young man was naturally Lu Ming. He had gone to the outskirts of the Tianfeng plains to check on the situation. He did not find anything unusual and returned to the village. He did not expect to see the scene. "Brother Lu!" Fongling called out subconsciously. "Sorry, I'm late." Lu Ming nodded at Fongling and the village head. "Brat, how dare you stop me? You're courting death." The middle-aged man saw that it was a black-faced young man who grabbed his wrist. He looked very ordinary. Coupled with the conversation between Lu Ming and Fongling, he thought that Lu Ming was from this small village. He roared and released his killing intent. Boom! His true yuan exploded and he wanted to break Lu Ming's palm. However, Lu Ming's eyes turned cold. He clenched his fist and a terrifying force rushed towards the middle-aged man. Crack, crack! In an instant, the middle-aged man's true yuan was scattered. The bones in his arm broke inch by inch and he looked like a pile of mud. My arm! The coldly arrogant middle-aged man screamed miserably. Bang! Lu Ming grabbed the middle-aged man's arm and lifted him up. He was like a broken sack as he smashed him heavily on the ground. The ground shook as the middle-aged man smashed a human-shaped hole in the ground. He lay in the hole and vomited blood. All the bones in his body were broken, and he looked like a pile of mud. On the side, the other burly men from the Sky God sect and the green-robed youths were stunned. Then the burly men from the Sky God sect roared crazily, "Brat, how dare you hit someone from the Sky God sect? I'll skin you alive." "Noisy," Lu Ming said coldly and moved. Then he heard banging sounds and shrill screams. When Lu Ming appeared again, the few people from the Celestial sect, as well as a few young men in green robes, were all lying on the ground, wailing in pain. They were stacked on top of each other, and many of their bones had been broken. Chapter 1571. I'll spare your lives today. Next time I'll kill you. Lu Ming said his killing intent cold. Then he kicked out the 5 or 6 people from the Heavenly God sect, and the Desire Poison sect were sent flying like rubber balls. They disappeared into the sky. If not for the fact that this was a small village, Lu Ming would have killed them. By the side, the village chief and Fongling were dumbstruck. It was only then that they realized that Lu Ming, who had lived with them for 3 months, was also an unfathomable powerhouse. "Village chief, are you all right?" Lu Ming asked. "I'm fine. Sigh, I'm just afraid that those people will come back." The village chief sighed. "If they come again, I'll kill every single one of them." There was a sharp glint in Lu Ming's eyes. Then Lu Ming gave the storage rings that he had obtained from the Heavenly God sect and the Desire Poison sect to the village chief. However, The village chief did not dare to take out the furniture of the villagers, for fear that other experts would see it and bring trouble. The village chief even went to the ancestral hall and put away the memorial tablets. As for Lu Ming, he sat down on a chair in the village head's courtyard and waited quietly. Outside the heavenly wind plains, there was a mountain peak. A few young men in white robes stood with their hands behind their backs and looked into the distance. Those guys are getting bolder. I asked them to go to the small village to ask about the situation, but they haven't come back yet. One of the young men said coldly, "Let's wait for a while. If they don't come back, go and check it out." The young man in the middle seemed to be the leader of the group. Soon, a few hours had passed. A few middle-aged men flew toward the mountain peak in a hurry. These middle-aged men were the ones who had gone to the small village earlier. Although all their bones had been broken by Lu Ming, they were martial emperors and had strong vitality. By now, they had already recovered a little and rushed over. "What's going on?" The young man in the lead swept his gaze across the crowd and saw that the few men were injured. A sharp glint flashed across his eyes. "Young Master Luo, you have to uphold justice for us. We found the phoenix incense wood in that small village. We wanted to bring it to young Master Luo, but there was an expert in that small village. Not only did he not give it to us, he even beat us up. He was extremely arrogant and did not even put our divine sky sect in his eyes." The icily arrogant middle-aged man shouted, "Phoenix incense wood? Does that small village have phoenix incense wood?" The eyes of young Master Luo and the other young men flickered. "That's right, there is indeed phoenix incense wood, and there is quite a lot of it." The arrogant middle-aged man said, "Humph, a small village dares to beat up the people of my heavenly god sect. You're courting death. Let's go." Young Master Luo shouted coldly and led the other young men and the middle-aged men towards the small village in an aggressive manner. When the others nearby saw this, they revealed curious expressions. The heavenly god sect's people are so aggressive. What are they trying to do? Did someone offend the heavenly god sect? Looking at their direction, it seems to be that small village. Interesting. Let's go and take a look. There were many people in the vicinity who followed young Master Luo and the others towards the small village. In the small village, in the village chief's courtyard, Lu Ming sat on a chair with his eyes closed. On the other hand, the village chief and Fengling seemed somewhat anxious. They were afraid of the heavenly god sect's revenge. Suddenly, Lu Ming opened his eyes and said coldly, "They're here!" The village chief's face turned pale. Whoosh! Whoosh! From the north, young Master Luo and the others stepped into the air and arrived above the village chief's courtyard. They looked down at Lu Ming and the others from above. "You're the one who injured the people of my heavenly god sect?" Young Master Luo stared coldly at Lu Ming. "That's right," Lu Ming replied indifferently. "It's fine as long as it's you. Kill yourself so that I don't have to take action." Young Master Luo said coldly, "Hee hee." Qi Nan let out a hollow laugh and ignored young Master Luo's words. He glanced at the middle-aged, bulky men behind young Master Luo and said, "I've already said that if you dare to come again, I'll kill you. It seems like you don't take my word seriously." "Humph, kid, don't be so full of yourself. You're the one who will die today." The middle-aged man snapped. "Is that so?" Lu Ming's eyes flickered with sharpness. "How bold!" Young Master Luo snapped coldly as his body emitted an icy murderous intent. A powerful aura burst out from his body and encapsulated the entire village. Lu Ming dared to disregard him. A mere scum of a small village, a lowly ant, dared to disregard him. He was the new genius of the heavenly god sect, with the cultivation of the peak sixth layer martial dominator realm. The aura of the peak sixth layer martial dominator realm encapsulated the entire village, causing some of the villagers to drop to their knees in fear. "I'm telling you, I'm not from this village." You can come to me if you need anything. It has nothing to do with the villagers here. Lu Ming snapped coldly. Nothing to do with you? I'm telling you, not only are you going to die today, these lowly ants will all die too. Young Master Luo snapped coldly. Bang! A gigantic palm materialized and descended from the sky. It covered the entire sky and enveloped the entire village. He was planning to raze the village to the ground with a single palm. Bang! At that instant, Lu Ming was infuriated. An icy, murderous intent burst out from his body. He had been holding back as he was worried about the safety of the villagers. Previously, he had not killed the middle-aged, bulky men as he was worried about the safety of the villagers. However, it seemed like it was useless for a sect like the Heavenly God sect to hold back. The only way was to kill them until they were intimidated, allowing them to retreat. Bang! Lu Ming lashed out a punch, causing a fist intent to rise into the sky and shatter the giant palm into pieces. Lu Ming sprang into the sky and charged toward young Master Luo and his crew. A powerful aura was unleashed toward them. I've given you a chance, but you're asking for it. Lu Ming snapped coldly. Sixth layer martial dominator realm. Humph, no wonder you're so arrogant. However, I'm telling you, there's a huge difference between our strength, even though we're at the same cultivation level. Young Master Luo said. A godly retribution spear appeared in his hand. He took a step forward and thrust the godly retribution spear at Lu Ming. However, he was greeted with a punch from Lu Ming. When the fist landed on the spear of divine retribution, the spear of divine retribution crumbled. The terrifying fist energy broke through young Master Luo's defense and landed on his dantian, penetrating it with a single punch. You! Young Master Luo stared with his eyes open wide. His eyes were filled with disbelief. He could not understand how an ordinary young man he had met in a small village could be so terrifying. He was able to kill him with a single blow, even though he was at the same cultivation level as him. He was a genius of the Heavenly God sect. How dare you? The other young men and the middle-aged men were so scared that their faces turned pale, and they stammered as they spoke. Chapter 1572. Kill! Lu Ming shouted coldly. His eyes were like lightning, and his killing intent was like a knife as he charged towards the other young men. His fist radiance seemed to be able to crush everything. The young men did not even have time to scream before they were killed. Then, Lin Fan glanced at the middle-aged men coldly. The middle-aged men were covered in cold sweat, and their faces were pale. Spare my life! Spare my life! The arrogant middle-aged man was the first to kneel down, and his body was trembling. I have said before that if you come again, I will kill you. However, you did not take my words to heart. You brought about your own destruction. Lu Ming said coldly. Then he slammed his palm down. The middle-aged men were only low-level martial emperors. How could they stop Lin Fan? They were slapped to death. What a powerful move! Not far away, the other people who had come to watch the show were also amazed. They did not expect the people of a small village to be so bold and powerful. They killed the people of the Heavenly God sect easily. There were even a few geniuses among them. There will be a good show. The people of the Heavenly God sect are not the only ones here. There are many experts who have come. I am afraid they will go crazy. That's right. The people of the Heavenly God sect will come soon. The people discussed and left the place. They are all dead. The village chief was dumbfounded. Then he became worried. They had killed so many people of the Heavenly God sect. The Heavenly God sect would definitely come for revenge. What should I do? The village chief was worried. Village chief, do you want to move to another place to live? Lu Ming asked. The strength of this small village was too weak. In this martial world, it could be destroyed at any time, just like today. If it were not for Lu Ming, Feng Ling would have been killed. In that case, the village chief would not be able to survive. In the end, if the arrogant middle-aged men were angered, the entire village would be destroyed. This was because the village did not have strong martial strength. However, it had the phoenix incense wood. It had not been discovered in the past. Now that it had been discovered, it was only a matter of time before it was destroyed. This was the sorrow of the week. "Grandpa, let's leave this place," Feng Ling advised. "Sai, we also want to leave, but in the Tsang province there are powerful, vicious beasts everywhere. Just one emperor-level vicious beast can easily destroy our village. But here, we are close to the Heavenly Wind Plains. The Heavenly Wind Plains has a phoenix that can intimidate hundreds of vicious beasts. That's why we are safe. As for those big cities, if we want to live in them, we need to spend a lot of origin stones. How can we have so many origin stones?" The village chief sighed. It was not that they did not want to leave, but that they had nowhere to go. Lu Ming pondered for a moment and said, "Village chief, I have a Grotto Heaven treasure. You can enter the Grotto Heaven treasure first. Then I will bring you to a place." There were only a few dozen families in this village. Lu Ming planned to send them to the Lu Clan fort. The Lu Clan fort was extremely spacious. Just a small plot of land was enough to house a few dozen families. Grotto Heaven treasure! The village chief revealed a look of astonishment. It seemed that this little brother Lu before him had a shocking background. "All right, I will call all the villagers here. We will have to trouble you later." The village chief bowed to Lu Ming, then hurriedly left to call the other villagers. Lu Ming waved his hand and kept all the villagers into the mountain-river diagram. Then Lu Ming waited there quietly. At this time, the news of a powerful villager killing a few heavenly divinity sect geniuses had already spread in the periphery of the Heavenly Wind Plains. Such a powerful villager! The Heavenly Divinity sect will definitely seek revenge. Let's go and take a look. Let's go. Streaks of light whizzed through the air. One by one, figures came to the small village and stood around it. And no one? Did they escape? No, there is one person. Many people looked around and finally fixed their eyes on Lu Ming. Senior brother, senior sister. Lu Ming swept his gaze across the crowd and actually found a familiar face. Tian Shui and Xuanixin. The divine Dragon Valley was quite far away from here. He did not expect Tian Shui and Xuanixin to be here. Tian Shui and Xuanixin, like the others, stood in the distance and looked at Lu Ming curiously. That is, Emo Yang. Emo Yang is here. What a beautiful woman. Who is that woman? There was a sudden commotion in the crowd, and they all looked in one direction. There were about a dozen people in that direction. There were 2 young men and a young woman and a dozen old men. Each of them had an extremely powerful aura, and demonic qi was soaring. Nianqing. When he saw one of them, Lu Ming's eyes lit up. The beautiful woman among the young men and women was Xian Yanqing. The other person was Emo Yang, one of the top 10 monstrous geniuses in the Zhangzhou. Lu Ming looked at Xian Yanqing, and Xian Yanqing looked at Lu Ming at the same time. When their eyes met, Xian Yanqing was slightly stunned. Then, she smiled and winked at Lu Ming. "I've been recognized." Lu Ming smiled. He was too familiar with Xian Yanqing. No matter how a person changed their appearance, aura, and appearance, their eyes would never change. Obviously, Xian Yanqing had recognized Lu Ming through his eyes. Lu Ming shook his head slightly at Xian Yanqing, and Xian Yanqing also nodded slightly. Lu Ming meant not to reveal his identity for the time being. Xian Yanqing naturally understood Lu Ming's meaning. Emo Yang, who was beside Xian Yanqing, seemed to have noticed Xian Yanqing's abnormality. He looked at Lu Ming with a cold and suspicious look in his eyes. "The people from the Celestial God sect are here," someone exclaimed. In the distance, there were at least a dozen figures walking in the air. They were all dressed in white robes and had powerful auras. There were young men, middle-aged men, and old men. The person at the front was bathed in sacred light, as if he was the moon surrounded by stars. Yu Sheng. Lu Ming recognized this person at a glance. A year and a half ago, at the treasure peddling meeting in Song Mountain, Yu Sheng was the leader of the Celestial God Sect. He was extremely talented and had amazing combat strength. A year and a half later, Yu Sheng had become even stronger. His powerful aura filled the air and was extremely terrifying. Early stage martial royal realm. This was Yu Sheng's cultivation. It was obvious that Yu Sheng had made rapid progress in the past year and a half. The people from the Celestial God Sect stood in the sky above the village. They looked around and finally fixed their eyes on Lu Ming. "You're the one who killed the genius of the Celestial God Sect?" Yu Sheng asked coldly. "That's right." Lu Ming replied indifferently. "How audacious! You're courting death. Where are the other villagers? Where are you hiding? Hand them all over and die." "A middle-aged man beside you," Sheng scolded. He exuded the aura of a peak-level 7 martial royal realm cultivation. He, as expected of a great sect. How impressive, how domineering. Their disciples came to this remote mountain village to bully ordinary villagers and even snatch the ancestral tablets of their ancestors. As expected of the self-proclaimed #1 sect in the Tsang Prefecture. Lu Ming sneered. Chapter 1573. Lu Ming's words made everyone from the Heavenly God sect pale. "What? How dare you steal someone's tablet? No wonder you're a disciple of the Heavenly God sect. How shameful! How could such a sect be as famous as the Divine Dragon Valley?" Uft! A deep voice was heard. It was Tian Chue. The relationship between the Divine Dragon Valley and the Heavenly God sect had worsened after the treasure meeting. Tian Chue naturally wanted to ridicule them. "Nonsense! Lad! How dare you slander the Heavenly God sect? I'll make you beg for your life today." The man at the peak of the LV7 martial royal realm shouted angrily. He stepped forward and clawed at Lu Ming. A giant yellow hand was formed in the sky and grabbed at him. A small knife appeared in Lu Ming's hand. It was the knife he used to carve the statue. Swoosh! Lu Ming threw the knife out. The knife turned into a flash of lightning and pierced through the yellow hand. It then continued to move toward the man. The man's face fell. A giant axe appeared in his hand and he swung it at the knife. Clang! The giant axe hit the knife and the knife was sent flying. It returned to Lu Ming's hand. The man's body shook violently. He took 5 or 6 steps back and spat out a mouthful of blood. What? The expressions of many onlookers changed drastically. They looked at Lu Ming in shock. They could clearly see that the small knife that Lu Ming had thrown out was definitely an ordinary small knife, a very ordinary spirit weapon. However, such a small knife was thrown out casually, and it actually repelled an expert at the peak of the 7th level martial emperor realm, causing him to vomit blood. That kind of power was too terrifying. They did not know that Lu Ming's knife was covered by LV6 chaotic territory. It was as heavy as a mountain. It was not difficult to injure an ordinary LV7 martial royal realm expert. "Who are you?" Yu Sheng asked with a serious face. He could not believe that there was such an expert in a small village at the border. "I'm just a carpenter in a small village." Lu Ming replied calmly. The onlookers looked at each other. A carpenter? How could he be so powerful? Humph, trying to be mysterious. Let's see how long you can keep up this act. Kill. An old man stepped forward with a godly retribution spear in his hand, which he stabbed toward Lu Ming. Whoosh! Another expert also attacked. A terrifying sword light slashed towards Lu Ming's head. Both of them possessed cultivations of the 8th layer martial dominator realm, and were planning to kill Lu Ming with a single move. Kill! Lu Ming shouted. He took a heavy step forward and soared into the sky. He dodged the sword light and punched out. Boom! The old man's spear of divine punishment was shattered, and the fist energy did not stop bombarding the old man's body. The old man screamed as his body was torn into pieces. A LV8 Martial Royal Realm expert had been killed by Lu Ming with a single move. Whoosh! Then Lu Ming flipped his hand and threw the small knife in his hand again, flying toward another person who had attacked. The man was shocked and tried to block the attack with his sword. However, the powerful force of the knife caused his arm to go numb. Meanwhile, Lu Ming's figure was already charging toward him. Boom! The heavens and earth trembled as the man's body was penetrated. His corpse flew a few thousand meters away and fell to the ground with a heavy thud. He was no longer breathing. Many people gasped when they saw that 2 LV8 Martial Royal Realm experts had been killed in an instant. How powerful! His cultivation is only at the peak of the 6th layer Martial Royal Realm, but his strength is so powerful that he could kill 2 LV8 Martial Royal Realm experts in an instant. His strength is comparable to a top genius. Could he be a top genius? The onlookers discussed among themselves with various guesses. You're courting death. Yu Sheng's eyes were extremely cold as he stepped forward. A sacred glow filled the air as a terrifying pressure pressed down on Lu Ming. Many people were startled. Yu Sheng was about to make his move. Yu Sheng was a top genius with a superior earthly spiritual body. His strength was extremely terrifying. Although he was also an 8th layer Martial Royal Realm expert, his strength was many times stronger than the previous 2. Yu Sheng could easily kill them with a single move. Die! Yu Sheng yelled as a godly retribution spear appeared in his hand and stabbed toward Lu Ming. The godly retribution spear was extremely sharp and powerful. It was incomparable to the previous one. Boom! Lu Ming's way of fighting was still very simple. He simply threw a punch. A terrifying vibration could be heard as the godly retribution spear in Yu Sheng's hand vibrated vigorously, as if it would shatter at any moment. A terrifying force surged toward Yu Sheng, causing his face to turn pale. Boom! Following this, Lu Ming threw out a punch with his other hand. Yu Sheng's face turned pale as he threw out a punch with his other hand, which collided with Lu Ming's fist. Another explosion took place, causing Yu Sheng's face to turn pale as his figure was knocked backward. He was being suppressed by Lu Ming in a head-on clash. A year and a half ago, Lu Ming's cultivation was 2 layers lower than Yu Sheng's, but he was still able to defeat a genius like Yu Sheng. Not to mention that Lu Ming's cultivation was now at the peak of the 6th layer Martial Dominator realm, while Yu Sheng was only at the early stage of the 8th layer Martial Dominator realm. Die! Lu Ming bellowed. His fists were like rainbows, constantly blasting toward Yu Sheng. Yu Sheng let out a roar as a sacred glow burst out from his body, trying his best to fight against Lu Ming. After exchanging more than 10 blows, Yu Sheng was forced to back off. Let's attack together. Let's kill him together. The others of the Heavenly Divinity sect yelled as they dashed forward and surrounded Lu Ming. Die! Lu Ming let out a roar as a dragon's cry could be heard from his body. Following a roar, the godly sword art burst out. Those who were charging toward Lu Ming let out cries of agony as if their souls were being torn apart. On the other hand, the black dragon's spear appeared in Lu Ming's hand. With a shake of the spear, rays of spear light shot out like lightning. Puff! 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 In an instant, more than 10 experts of the Heavenly Divinity sect were killed by Lu Ming. Lu Ming, he's Lu Ming. Yu Sheng's eyes widened as he roared. What? He's Lu Ming? Kill him. Use the sacred weapons. The remaining people of the Heavenly Divinity sect roared. Wang! Wang! A few of them exuded a powerful aura as several sacred weapons appeared, emitting a terrifying radiance. It's Lu Ming. Kill him. Not far away, there are some powerful figures from the Desire Poison sect. At this moment, Some of them took out their sacred weapons and charged toward Lu Ming. At this moment, the spectators nearby were a little dumbfounded. Lu Ming? This person is Lu Ming? The Lu Ming who was famous in the Tsang continent a year and a half ago? The Lu Ming who was going to challenge the Divine Prince at the next treasure sorting meeting? He was hiding in a small mountain village at the border. It's Lu Ming, junior brother, attack. Kill. Tian Chue and Xuanixin were stunned for a moment before they roared and charged forward. Sacred weapons also flew out from their hands and shot out. Boom! Boom! Several experts of the Heavenly Divinity sect were killed. Tian Chue and Xuanixin's cultivation had improved rapidly. They had both reached the early stage of the rank 8 martial royal realm like Yushang. Chapter 1574 Sky Universe Demon Sect. Stop the Desire Poison Sect. On the other side, Xie Nianqing gave the order. Junior sister, what are you doing? Mo Yang shouted. Attack! Xie Nianqing said again, her face cold. Yes, holy maiden. The others responded and attacked the Desire Poison Sect with Xie Nianqing. Sky Universe Demon Sect, what are you doing? Do you want to go against my Poison Desire Sect? The people of the Desire Poison Sect roared. However, Xie Nianqing's face was cold. A black lotus floated above her head and pressed forward. Some of the Desire Poison Sect's experts spat out blood and retreated. Xie Nianqing's cultivation had reached the peak of the 7th level of the martial royal realm. His progress was astonishing. The Black Lotus was obviously a sacred weapon. Although the other people of the Sky Universe Demon Sect did not want to attack, they could only obey the Holy Maiden's order. Mo Yang stood not far away with a cold face and did not attack. However, the Desire Poison Sect's experts were terrified. Mo Yang was one of the top 10 geniuses in Songzhou. His cultivation had long broken through to the Sage-to-be realm. If he attacked, they would be in danger. Retreat, retreat first! The Desire Poison Sect's experts shouted and began to retreat while defending. They had lost the will to fight. Lu Ming had already displayed the black feather wings and rushed toward the Celestial Divinity Sect. The black dragon spear became 1,000 meters long and smashed out, sending a sacred weapon flying. At the same time, the black dragon spear stabbed out like lightning and killed a peak 8th level martial royal realm expert. Puff! Puff! Then the black feather wings slashed out like a knife and killed a 7th level martial royal realm and an 8th level martial royal realm expert. Tian Chue and Xuanixin also showed their power. Tian Chue's hammer had already been swapped for a saint artifact. Every time he swung his hammer, his might would be incomparably shocking. Even a saint artifact would be sent flying by his hammer. A single strike from his hammer would result in either death or injury. Xuanixin, on the other hand, wielded a 7-colored saint weapon, which was also very powerful. Although there were only 3 of them, Lu Ming and the other experts of the Celestial Divinity Sect were suppressed and killed. Go! In the end, Saint Yu roared and led the remaining people away, leaving behind more than 20 corpses. Lu Ming and his crew did not chase after them. Among the remaining cultivators, there were a few 9th-layer martial dominator realm experts with sacred weapons. If they were determined to escape, it would not be easy to kill them. Ha ha ha, junior brother, so you're here. You vanished without a trace this past year. I haven't heard any news about you. Tian Chue kept his giant hammer and patted Lu Ming heavily as he laughed out loud. I was just about to return to the Dragon God Valley. I didn't expect to bump into senior brothers and sisters here. Lu Ming also revealed a smile. His body changed back to his original appearance. Lu Ming, a cold voice rang out. Xie Nianqing stepped through the air, like a demoness descending to the world, attracting everyone's attention. So beautiful. Is she the saintess of the heavenly demonic sect? I think so. I heard that there's a new saintess in the heavenly demonic sect. She's peerless and talented. The sect leader of the heavenly demonic sect has taken her in as a disciple and is grooming her. Some people discussed among themselves. Xiao Qing. Lu Ming smiled faintly. The two of them looked into each other's eyes, full of affection. Nothing was said. Tian Chui glanced at Lu Ming and Xian Yanqing and said with a grin, "Ha ha, junior brother, this must be your sister-in-law. She's so beautiful, a perfect match for you. Junior brother, why didn't you introduce her to us when she's so beautiful? You're going to be punished," Xuanixin teased. "Ha ha." Lu Ming smiled and introduced them. Xian Yanqing also bowed politely to Tian Chui and Xuanixin, causing them to be overjoyed. "Junior sister, let's leave this place first. They've killed so many people from the Celestial Divine sect. The Celestial Divine sect won't let this matter rest. We don't want to get involved." At this time, a discordant voice was heard. Mo Yang walked over with a cold face. When he looked at Lu Ming, a murderous intent flashed in his eyes. "You guys leave first. I want to be with Lu Ming," Xia Nianqing said. "Junior sister, you." Mo Yang's face became even colder. He looked at Lu Ming with intense jealousy, and the murderous intent in his eyes became even colder. When Xian Yanqing had just joined the heavenly demonic sect, Mo Yang had been in seclusion. Later, when the treasure sorting convention was about to begin, Mo Yang came out of seclusion. When he saw Xian Yanqing, he was shocked. Moreover, she was his junior sister. In his heart, Xian Yanqing was already his woman. Later, when he heard that Xian Yanqing had a boyfriend, he was suddenly filled with intense jealousy and murderous intent. Therefore, he had taken action to stop Zi Feng in Song Mountain. "Junior sister, this place is not safe. It's better for me to stay by your side," Mo Yang said as his gaze shifted. This made Xia Nianqing frown. As for Lu Ming, a murderous intent flashed in his eyes. How could Lu Ming not see through Mo Yang's thoughts? Sister-in-law has already asked someone to leave, but someone is really thick-skinned and insists on following her. Isn't he ashamed? Tian Chui sneered. "What did you say?" Mo Yang asked with a sullen face. "Someone knows what I'm talking about." Tian Chui curled his lips. "Humph." Mo Yang snorted coldly, then looked at Xian Yanqing and said, "Junior sister, you have to think carefully. Our heavenly universe, demon sect, and dragon god valley belong to different sections. Moreover, Lu Ming challenged the divine child, so he will definitely be killed by the divine child in a year and a half. He won't be able to live for much longer, so it's not too late for you to leave him now." Mo Yang. Xian Yanqing shouted coldly. Her face was unusually cold as she said, "Let me tell you, Lu Ming won't die in a year and a half. The divine child will be the one to die. Also, you're my senior brother, so I respect you. If anyone else had said such things, I would have already taken action. Now please leave. Otherwise, don't blame me for falling out with you." "Junior sister, you." Mo Yang's face was extremely ugly. In the end, he gave Lu Ming a cold look, then turned around and left. The other people from the Heavenly Universe demon sect also left with Mo Yang. "Lu Ming, I'm sorry." Xian Yanqing looked at Lu Ming apologetically. "Haha, you don't have to say such things to me. Moreover, this shows that you have great charm. Since such a charming beauty has taken a fancy to me, wouldn't I feel a greater sense of accomplishment?" Lu Ming said with a smile. "Shameless." Xian Yanqing also smiled. "By the way, Xiao Qing, why are you here?" Lu Ming asked. The Heavenly Universe demon sect was adjacent to Dragon God Valley, which was far from the western part of Cangzhou. So, why would Xian Yanqing and the others appear here? Even if they had heard the news and wanted to rush over, they wouldn't have arrived so quickly. Mo Yang and I, along with other people from the Heavenly Universe demon sect, We're chasing a traitor of the heavenly universe demon sect. We happened to be nearby, so when we heard the news, we rushed over to take a look. Xian Yinqing said. Chapter 1575. There are changes in the Tianfeng Plains. What? Let's go and take a look. At this moment, a piece of news came and the onlookers all flew towards the Tianfeng Plains. There are changes in the Tianfeng Plains? Lu Ming and the other three were also surprised. Junior brother, shall we go and take a look? Tian Chui said. All right, let's go. Lu Ming, Xian Yinqing, Tian Chui, and Xuaningxin immediately flew towards the Tianfeng Plains. Chirp! At this moment, a phoenix cry was heard from the Tianfeng Plains. It was filled with despair and unwillingness. The phoenix cry is getting softer and softer. It seems to be getting weaker and weaker. Lu Ming said. Could it be that the divine phoenix is about to fall, and that's why it keeps crying? Xia Nianqing guessed. It's not impossible, Lu Ming said. Soon, the four of them arrived at the periphery of the Tianfeng Plains. The Tianfeng Plains had a vast territory. Many people were standing in the air at the periphery of the vast plains. Lu Ming and the other three were standing at the back. They were not eye-catching at all. Whoosh whoosh! In the Tianfeng Plains, strong winds howled and huge tornadoes swept across the land. There were many of them, and they were densely packed together. It was a spectacular sight to behold from afar. No one knew how these tornadoes were formed. They seemed to have appeared suddenly 80,000 years ago. Some guessed that there had been a great battle between powerful experts, and they were formed by the power of law. Others speculated that they were formed because of a formation set up inside. There were many different opinions, and no one agreed on the answer. But now, some tornadoes were moving slowly towards the depths of the Tianfeng Plains. As time passed, the number of moving tornadoes increased, and they were all moving in the same direction towards the depths of the Tianfeng Plains. Gradually, the number of tornadoes on the heavenly wind plains decreased, and the place became bustling with activity. At this moment, another phoenix cry was heard, and it seemed to be clearer. The Tianfeng Plains have retreated. Something must have happened inside. There must be treasures in there. Opportunities and dangers coexist in any forbidden land. Now that the Tianfeng Plains have retreated, it's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Many people were tempted and their eyes were burning. Whoosh! Suddenly, someone moved and rushed into the Tianfeng Plains. He avoided the remaining tornadoes and rushed into the depths of the Tianfeng Plains. Seeing that the person was fine, even more people moved. They rushed towards the heavenly wind plains and disappeared from everyone's sight. Let's go in and take a look. It won't be too late to retreat if there's danger. Even more people rushed towards the heavenly wind plains. Riches and honor were sought in the midst of danger. This was even more so for martial arts cultivators. They had to rely on themselves to seize opportunities. Rainbow lights flashed, and countless figures charged into the heavenly wind plains and disappeared. Lu Ming saw the people from the Desire Poison sect, Yu Shang and the others from the Celestial God sect, as well as Mo Yang and the others, rushing into the Tianfeng Plains. Let's go take a look too. Lu Ming said, That's exactly what I wanted. All right, Tian Chui and the others nodded in agreement. Then they stepped forward and charged into the Tianfeng Plains. Hoo-hoo! As soon as they rushed into the Tianfeng Plains, they felt the whistling of the wind. It was like a blade blowing on their bodies. They used their true ether to protect their bodies, blocking the blade-like wind. The four of them carefully avoided the tornadoes and rushed inside. There were still many tornadoes left, and they were constantly moving. However, their speed was not fast, and there were many gaps, which were enough for them to pass through easily. Soon, the three of them had flown thousands of miles into the Tianfeng Plains. Not far away, some people were fighting. One of them was blasted away and swept into a tornado. He immediately let out a shrill scream. In front of Lu Ming and the others, this person was torn to pieces by the tornado. What a terrifying power! Tian Shui licked his lips. Lu Ming took out a level 9 spiritual weapon and threw it at a nearby tornado. After the level 9 spiritual weapon was swept into the tornado, it shattered within a few breaths of time. It was cut into pieces by the terrifying wind. The four of them turned solemn. The power of the tornado was truly terrifying. No wonder it was said that Saint Realm experts would most likely die if they were swept into it. It was not a lie. The four of them continued to move forward. Along the way, they saw that the ground was flat and barren. Swoosh! Suddenly, they saw a branch being thrown out from a tornado. It's the phoenix incense wood. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. Their eyesight was so powerful that even though they were still a distance away, they could clearly see that there was a mark of a phoenix on the branch. That was the characteristic of the phoenix incense wood. According to the villagers, the phoenix incense wood that they obtained was also blown out from the Tianfeng plains. The four of them quickly rushed toward the phoenix incense wood. This phoenix incense wood was 3 meters long and as thick as a person's waist. It seemed to be a branch from a huge ancient tree. Haha, such a big branch. How many origin stones is it worth? Tian Shui laughed. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. At this moment, the sound of something breaking through the air was heard. 7 to 8 figures appeared and surrounded the four of them. Put down the phoenix incense wood and get lost. An old man in a black robe snapped coldly. These people were either middle-aged or old men. Each of them possessed a powerful aura. Even the weakest among them possessed a cultivation of the 8th layer martial dominator realm. Some of them had even reached the 9th layer martial dominator realm. You're asking us to get lost? You're the ones getting lost. Come and try if you want to die. A giant hammer appeared in Tian Shui's hand as his eyes flickered ferociously. Stubborn fools, die. One of the men in a black robe uttered a roar and made his move, charging toward Tian Shui. A long spear was thrust forward, encapsulating Tian Shui's figure. Die. Tian Shui uttered a roar as he lashed out with his giant hammer. Bang! The spear shadows disappeared as the giant hammer landed on the man's body. Following a groan, the man's body was flattened and sent flying a few hundred meters away. Killed with a single attack. Let's work together. The old man in a black robe let out a furious roar as his peak 9th layer martial dominator realm aura burst out. A terrifying saber glow slashed toward Lu Ming. These people were not present during the battle between Lu Ming's group and the Heavenly Divinity sect. They did not recognize Lu Ming's group. If they had witnessed the battle, they would not have dared to attack Lu Ming's group. A cold grin appeared on Lu Ming's face as he poured his true energy into the flowing force gloves and threw out a punch. Bang! The weight of the flowing force gloves was shocking. Together with the chaotic domain and the hell-suppressing heaven skill, its power was terrifying. The saber glow of the opponent was shattered by the punch, while the punch continued toward the old man in a black robe. The old man in a black robe was startled as he blocked with his saber. Clang! Lu Ming's fist landed on the battle saber, and the battle saber exploded. His fist did not stop and landed on the body of the elder in the black robe. The elder in the black robe let out an indignant roar. His body exploded just like his battle saber. A 9th layer martial dominator realm cultivator without a sacred weapon. How weak! Chapter 1576. If Lu Ming's words were heard by the people of the small sects, they would be so angry that they would vomit blood. Holy weapons were the exclusive weapons of the Saint Realm experts. They were very precious, and very few people below the Saint Realm had them. Previously, Lu Ming had only encountered top-notch geniuses who were heavily groomed by their respective sections. Only then did they possess a sacred weapon. Some small sects did not have a sacred weapon. Even if some small sects had a sacred weapon, it was also a cornerstone treasure of the sect. even in the 13 top sects of the Tsang Prefecture. Most of the LV8 and LV9 martial royal realm cultivators used royal spiritual weapons. Many of the half-sages used royal spiritual weapons instead of holy weapons. Myriad demons realm. On the other side, Xian Yinqing shouted as her realm spread out. In Xian Yinqing's realm, there was a beautiful demoness shadow sitting cross-legged and suppressing all directions. An old man of LV9 martial royal realm was enveloped by Xian Yinqing's myriad demons realm. He roared as if he had gone mad. Then Xian Yinqing slapped out and the old man was killed. Myriad demons realm? It seems that Shao Qing's combat strength has increased after entering the martial queen realm. Lu Ming was excited. He was happy for Xian Yinqing. No wonder she could be accepted as a pro-disciple of the sect leader of the Heavenly Universe Demon Sect and become the saintess of the Heavenly Universe Demon Sect. Xian Yinqing's spiritual body was definitely a superior, earthly spiritual body. Lu Ming even felt that Xian Yinqing's body was hiding a terrifying power. While Lu Ming was thinking, Tian Shui and Xuanixin each killed a person. In the blink of an eye, there were only 3 people left. Let's go, let's go. The remaining 3 people were almost scared to death and ran away frantically. Lu Ming and the other 2 did not bother to chase them. They knew that these people were from small sects and did not take them seriously. Let's share this piece of phoenix incense wood. Lu Ming grabbed the phoenix incense wood and condensed his genuine qi into a knife. He divided the wood into 4 parts and put them away. Is there a huge phoenix incense tree in the Tianfeng Plains? Tian Shui licked his lips, revealing a fiery glow. The section just now was clearly just a branch. If the branch was so big, then how big would the main trunk be? The divine bird, the phoenix, resides in the Tianfeng Plains. Perhaps it lives on the trunk of the phoenix incense wood. Lu Ming speculated. Then the 4 of them continued forward. Junior sister. Not long after, a voice was heard as Mo Yang flew over from the side. Lu Ming, Xian Yinqing, Tian Shui, and Xuanixin furrowed their brows. They hadn't expected to meet Mo Yang here. Junior sister, I've finally found you. With a smile on his face, Mo Yang flew over and looked at Xian Yinqing with concern. Someone really doesn't have any self-awareness. Sister-in-law already told you to leave. Why are you still here? Tian Shui said disdainfully. Mo Yang glanced at Tian Shui, and a sharp glint flashed in his eyes. If it weren't for Xian Yinqing, he would have already killed Tian Shui, Lu Ming, and the other 2. My junior sister is the holy maiden of the Sky Universe Demon Sect. This time I've been ordered to come out and protect her, so I must stay by her side. Mo Yang said. Xian Yinqing frowned and said, Mo Yang, I don't need your protection. Lu Ming will protect me. Junior sister, I've been ordered by my master, and I dare not disobey. Otherwise, I'll definitely be punished when I return. So, even if you chase me away, I'll still follow you. Mo Yang said. Fuck, some people's skin is thicker than an elephant's. Tian Shui said unhappily. It's not just an elephant's skin. It's thicker than a city wall. I've seen shameless people, but I've never seen someone as shameless as you. Xuanixin said. Shut up. If you dare to insult me again, I'll kill you. Mo Yang shouted, and a violent aura emanated from his body. His demonic aura soared into the sky, and the dense demonic aura burned like flames. Bam! Bam! Tian Shui and Xuanixin were suppressed by this aura, and they couldn't help but retreat several steps. Whoosh! Lu Ming appeared in front of Tian Shui and Xuanixin, spreading his black wings to resist Mo Yang's aura. Mo Yang was one of the top 10 monstrous geniuses in Sangzhou. His cultivation had long reached the sage-to-be realm, and he was definitely not someone they could match. Mo Yang, they're my friends. If you want to touch them, you'll have to do it over my dead body. Xian Yinqing appeared beside Lu Ming, glaring at Mo Yang. Mo Yang's eyes were full of the flames of jealousy, as if they were about to burn. His eyes flashed fiercely, and he suddenly smiled and said, "Junior sister, you're overthinking. They're your friends, so why would I touch them? Let's go, I'll set off with you. There may be great treasures in the Tianfeng Plains." Xian Yinqing looked at Mo Yang coldly, feeling helpless. Mo Yang insisted on following them, so she couldn't do anything about it. The group continued to move forward without anyone else. The Tianfeng Plains was huge, and they continued to move forward for thousands of miles, passing through huge tornadoes as they slowly went deeper into the Tianfeng Plains. Along the way, they heard the cries of phoenixes several times, but they felt that the sounds were getting softer and softer. "Hey, look over there. There seems to be a piece of phoenix incense wood." Suddenly, Mo Yang pointed in a direction. Everyone looked over and saw a piece of phoenix incense wood on the left. There were huge, exposed boulders on the ground. The boulders were very smooth, and they must have been rubbed into that shape by the strong winds. The phoenix incense wood was between the boulders. Everyone rushed over, but no one noticed that Mo Yang's eyes revealed a smug sneer and cold, murderous intent. "Not good. There's an ambush. Retreat." Just as they approached the phoenix incense wood, Lu Ming inexplicably felt a strong sense of danger. He roared and was about to pull Xian Yinqing and the others back, but it was too late. Figures flashed, and at least a dozen figures rushed out from behind the boulders, surrounding Lu Ming and the others. Yu Sheng, the Celestial God Sect, and the Desire Poison Sect. Lu Ming glanced around and found that one of them was Yu Sheng. The others were not young, and judging from their clothes, there were people from the Celestial God Sect and the Desire Poison Sect. "Lu Ming, let's see how you die this time." Yu Sheng's eyes were cold. This brat has killed so many people from the Celestial God Sect. He's really digging his own grave. A white-haired elder from the Celestial God Sect said coldly. An extremely shocking aura erupted from his body. A half-saint, Lu Ming, Tian Chue, Xuanixin, and Xian Yinqing's faces changed drastically. The other party had sent out a half-saint expert. Boom! Boom! Then, a few more terrifying auras erupted, and a terrifying pressure pressed down on Lu Ming and the others. Half-saints again. The Celestial God Sect and the Desire Poison Sect both had half-saints. In total, there were 3 half-saints. Although the 9th level of the Martial Royal Realm was 1 level lower than the half-saints, the gap was huge. With the cultivation of Tian Chue and Xuanixin, who were in the early 8th level of the Martial Royal Realm, they could kill an ordinary peak 9th level of the Martial Royal Realm. However, they were no match for a half-saint. Moreover, there were 3 half-saints. Chapter 1577. Obviously, the Celestial Sect and the Poison Desire clan were determined to kill Lu Ming and the others this time. Moreover, in the Tianfeng Plains, Lu Ming and the others wouldn't even know how they died, so the Divine Dragon Valley couldn't avenge them. It was normal for them to die in a forbidden area. "The 2 of you from the Heavenly Universe Demon Sect, this has nothing to do with you. You can leave now." The white-haired elder from the Celestial Sect looked at Mo Yang and Xian Yinqing. "Okay, we'll leave immediately." Mo Yang said hurriedly, "No, I won't leave." Xian Yinqing shook her head and stood beside Lu Ming with a determined look in her eyes. "Junior sister, what are you doing? Lu Ming is so bold that he offended the Celestial Sect and the Poison Desire clan. He's courting death, so why are you accompanying him?" Mo Yang roared with jealousy. "If you want to leave, leave by yourself. This is my own life, so I choose it myself." Xian Yinqing said coldly, "No, you're my junior sister, the Holy Maiden of the Heavenly Universe Demon Sect. If something happens to you, how am I going to explain it to the Master and the entire Heavenly Universe Demon Sect? I must take you away. Mo Yang said firmly. Little Qing, leave. Lu Ming spoke at this moment. No, I want to stay with you. Xie Nianqing shook her head with a determined look in her eyes. She knew that Lu Ming was doing this for her own good, but she wouldn't leave. Whoosh! At this moment, Mo Yang made his move, grabbing Xie Nianqing's shoulder. The power of law poured in and sealed Xie Nianqing's cultivation. He then grabbed Xie Nianqing and quickly retreated. Mo Yang, let me go! Xie Nianqing roared. I won't let you go. I won't let you die with Lu Ming. Mo Yang said coldly, grabbing Xie Nianqing and retreating from the encirclement. Attack! As soon as Mo Yang and Xie Nianqing retreated, the white-haired elder from the celestial god sect roared. A long spear appeared in his hand, exuding a terrifyingly sharp aura as he thrust it towards Lu Ming. Without a doubt, this was a saint weapon. Voila! A pair of black wings appeared behind Lu Ming's back. At the same time, a saint artifact shield appeared in front of him. Clang! The long spear struck the sacred artifact shield and sent it flying. Following that, the long spear did not stop and struck the black wings. Lu Ming felt his entire body tremble as he was sent flying by a terrifying force. On the other side, Tian Chui and Xuanixin used their saint weapons at the same time. However, the half-saint on the other side also made a move. He also used a saint weapon and was extremely powerful. Tian Chui and Xuanixin were no match for him. Like Lu Ming, they were blown away and almost vomited blood. We can't stay here and fight. Let's go. With a flap of the black wings, Lu Ming appeared beside Tian Chui and Xuanixin and said. This time around, it was obvious that the Heavenly Divinity sect and the Poison Desire sect had come prepared. The three half-saints all possessed sacred armaments. There were even a few cultivators of the 9th layer of the Martial Emperor realm who possessed sacred armaments. Their battle prowess was extremely powerful. Bubble. Lu Ming called out. Chirp, chirp. Bubble waved its little paws, and a space-time passage appeared. The three of them were about to cross the space-time passage and leave. You want to leave? Dream on. The other half-saint from the celestial god sect shouted coldly. With a wave of his hand, a large cauldron expanded to the size of a mountain and pressed down on the space-time passage, blocking their way. Let's rush out and head towards the Desire Poison sect. Lu Ming transmitted his voice to Tian Chui and Xuanixin. Although the Desire Poison sect's poison gas was very powerful and could kill without leaving a trace, its offensive power was far inferior to the celestial god sect's. Since the space-time passage was blocked, they could only rush out from the Desire Poison sect's direction. Kill! Tian Chui roared. The three of them gathered together and controlled their saint weapons to charge towards the Desire Poison sect. Whoosh! Whoosh! All kinds of attacks came at them from the side. Lu Ming controlled his saint weapon shield and black wings to defend the three of them. Dong! Dong! All kinds of attacks landed on Lu Ming's shield and black wings, causing a loud explosion. Lu Ming's body shook and his blood boiled. Blood flowed from the corner of his mouth. Kill! 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 Tian Chui roared madly and Xuanixin roared. The two of them worked together and charged forward. Their combat strength was indeed shocking. Unless one was a half-saint, no one would be able to stop them. Several Desire Poison sect cultivators were blasted apart by Tian Chui's giant hammer and turned into poison gas. The three of them worked together and charged in that direction. They were about to break out of the encirclement. Poison Vine Law Coil. The half-saint of the Desire Poison sect was surrounded by surging poisonous aura. He shouted loudly and pressed his hands against the void. Whoosh! Countless poisonous vines suddenly appeared in the void. Each of the poisonous vines was covered with barbs. They covered the sky and the sun, shrouding Lu Ming and the other two. Not good. Lu Ming's expression changed. These poison vines were formed from the Poison Vine Law. They were filled with poison and were extremely tough. Tian Chui and Xuan Yingxin's attacks landed on the poison vines but were unable to break them. The poison vines enveloped the three of them from all directions, quickly closing in. Whoosh! The black wings expanded and enveloped the three of them, forming a sphere. In the next moment, the poison vine law arrived and wrapped around the sphere formed by the black wings. Sizzle! Sizzle! The poison vines wrapped around the black wings and emitted ear-piercing sounds. However, the black wings were a saint weapon, and the poison vines could not break them. Even the lowest level Mingsheng weapon was not something that a half-saint expert could break. Only a saint realm expert could forcefully break a half-saint weapon. What's the use of hiding in a tortoise shell? Let's see if your sacred weapon will be able to protect you in that tornado. The half-saint of the Desire Poison sect spoke coldly. He controlled the poisonous vines and flew toward one of the tornadoes. When it neared one of the tornadoes, the half-saint of the Desire Poison sect slapped his palm, and the poisonous vines that were wrapped around Lu Ming and the rest flew directly into one of the tornadoes. Lu Ming! Xie Nianqing roared in the distance as she struggled frantically. However, she was held tightly by Mo Yang and could not move. Lu Ming, no matter how strong you are, you will still die if you go against the celestial god sect. Yu Sheng laughed. Whoosh! Whoosh! The tornado whistled and was extremely shocking as it slowly moved toward the depths of the Tianfeng Plains. The people of the celestial god sect and the Desire Poison sect watched from the outside for a while. When they saw that there was no movement, they left one after another. Mo Yang, let me go! Xian Yinqing roared. Her beautiful eyes were bloodshot and filled with cold, murderous intent. Junior sister, what are you doing? Lu Ming and the others have been sent into the tornado. They are dead for sure, and they deserve it for offending the Celestial God sect and the Desire Poison sect. Mo Yang sneered, but his heart was wild with joy. Lu Ming is finally dead. Xian Yinqing should give up now. Mo Yang, let me go. Otherwise, I will fight you to the death. At this moment, Xian Yinqing had calmed down. However, her body was filled with a bone-chilling, murderous intent, which made Mo Yang feel an inexplicable chill in his heart. Humph, bitch. Anyway, Lu Ming is already dead. In the future, I will definitely make you loyal to me. Mo Yang thought to himself as he gritted his teeth and let go of Xian Yinqing. Chapter 1578. Xian Yinqing's cultivation had been restored, but her gaze was even colder. She looked at Mo Yang and said, Mo Yang, you are really despicable. You actually colluded with the Celestial Sect and the Poison Clan to assassinate Lu Ming. You are indeed worthy of being one of the top 10 evildoers in the Cangzhou. Her words were full of mockery. Junior sister, what did you say? Mo Yang's face changed slightly, and he revealed an ugly smile. What did I say? You dare to do it, but you don't dare to admit it? How did the Celestial Sect and the Poison Clan know where we are? Moreover, they were able to set up an ambush here so precisely. If it wasn't someone who tipped them off, then what was it? You deliberately looked for us before, and then you were with us to tip us off, right? Xie Nianqing said coldly. She was smart enough to think that meeting Mo Yang was purely a coincidence, but now that she thought about it, she knew that everything had been arranged by Mo Yang. Junior sister, don't slander me. Mo Yang's face was cold. You know best whether you did it or not. I'm warning you, don't follow me anymore. Otherwise, I will kill you, Xian Yinqing said coldly. She then moved and flew toward the tornado that Lu Ming and the others were in. Bitch, bitch. Sooner or later, I will make you beg for mercy in front of me. Looking at Xian Yinqing's back as she left, Mo Yang's eyes were full of malevolence, as well as a dense and scorching evil desire. Xian Yinqing came outside the tornado that Lu Ming had entered and watched from afar. Whoosh! The tornado whistled and slowly moved toward the Tianfeng Plains. Xian Yinqing followed the tornado and moved inside. After half a day, Xian Yinqing's face changed. This was because many tornadoes had appeared in front of them. This tornado had actually merged with the other tornadoes. Many tornadoes had appeared there, blocking Xian Yinqing's path forward. Lu Ming, you have the mountain and river diagram. The mountain and river diagram is something that can only be refined by an emperor-level powerhouse. It should be able to block the power of the tornadoes. Xian Yinqing whispered. Even so, her eyes were still full of worry. She stood there for a long time until Lu Ming's tornado was completely out of sight. Only then did she leave. As Lu Ming and the others were thrown into the tornadoes, the terrifying wind howling and spinning, they were constantly cutting the poisonous vines outside. The poisonous vines were formed from the power of laws and were incomparably tough. However, in the gale, they were quickly cut apart and turned to ashes. Sizzle, the fierce wind sliced the black wings, causing sparks to fly in all directions. The black wings trembled unceasingly as they emitted an ear-piercing sound. Damn it, we've been blasted into a tornado. Tian Chui roared. What? Ah. We. Xuanixin frowned. Dong. After a while, the black wings vibrated more and more violently. Lu Ming's chaotic domain that covered the black wings could not withstand the cutting of the wind at all. Soon, the chaotic domain was cut open. Lu Ming's body trembled. A terrifying force poured into his body through the black wings. Senior brother, senior sister, let's go into the mountain and river diagram. Lu Ming said. The mountain and river diagram was a treasure that could only be refined by an emperor-level powerhouse. It should be able to block the cutting of the wind. As for how to get out, they could only think of a way later. The wind here was too strong. It was so strong that even with Bubble's cultivation realm, she could not open a space-time tunnel to rush out. Because once the space-time tunnel was opened, it would be destroyed by the wind. Then Lu Ming's glabella shone. He kept Skyhammer and Xuanixin into the mountain and river diagram. Just as he was about to enter the mountain and river diagram, his expression suddenly changed. Because at this time he felt that the air-frozen pearl in his sea of consciousness was vibrating slightly. The air-frozen pearl is a wind-attribute treasure. Maybe it can restrain the wind. Lu Ming was overjoyed. With a thought, the air-frozen pearl flew out from Lu Ming's glabella and suspended above Lu Ming's head. The air-frozen bead vibrated slightly and a ray of green light shone down, shrouding Lu Ming. At this moment, the vibration of the black wings disappeared. Lu Ming could feel that the gale automatically bypassed the energy emitted by the air-frozen bead. Lu Ming was overjoyed. The air-frozen pearl was indeed useful. Then, Lu Ming put away the black wings. A green halo enveloped Lu Ming. No matter how the wind whistled outside, when it encountered the green halo, it automatically bypassed it. Whoosh! At this moment, a green light flew from below the tornado. It was a green crystal the size of a fist. It's a wind crystal. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. He recognized this kind of crystal. The wind crystal was a kind of crystal that only appeared in places with extremely rich wind elements after a long time. It was a wind-attribute treasure and was very precious. The wind crystal flew directly to the air-frozen bead and disappeared into it. Lu Ming felt that the light on the air-frozen pearl seemed to be more intense. With a chirp, a bird flew out from the air-frozen pearl and circled around it as if it was cheering. The air-frozen pearl was absorbing the energy of the wind crystal. Lu Ming looked around. There was wild wind in all directions, blocking his sight. He could not see the outside scene at all. However, Lu Ming had a feeling that the tornado was constantly moving. After an unknown period of time, suddenly another wind crystal flew up from below and integrated into the air-frozen pearl. The air-frozen pearl emitted a light that was brighter. Seeing this scene, Lu Ming was not in a hurry to go out. Instead, he went into the mountain-river diagram and the sky hammer. Xuanning said something and went out again. He let the air-frozen pearl float and waited quietly. About half a day later, the air-frozen pearl absorbed a total of 5 wind crystals. Rumble! There was a burst of vibration outside the tornado. Is it merging with other tornadoes? Lu Ming guessed. At this time, the bird on the air-frozen pearl chirped, flapped its wings, and flew to the side. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. He controlled the air-frozen pearl to fly to the side of the tornado. The tornado could not hinder them at all. Lu Ming went directly through the tornado and saw that there was another tornado next to it. As soon as Lu Ming came out, he entered another tornado. Whoosh! As soon as he entered the tornado, a wind crystal flew into the air-frozen pearl. Haha! It turns out that the air-frozen pearl wants to absorb the wind crystal. Then let it absorb as much as it wants. Lu Ming laughed in his heart. He controlled the air-frozen pearl to fly under the tornado. Soon, it absorbed another 5 wind crystals. Then, Lu Ming controlled the air-frozen pearl to rush out of the tornado. Lu Ming discovered that there were many tornadoes gathered and they were close together. Lu Ming did not look at it and continued to rush into the next tornado. Lu Ming did not know how long had passed. He had entered more than 10 tornadoes, and the wind-calming bead had absorbed dozens of wind crystals. The wind-calming bead was extremely rich and sparkling and dazzling. It's almost done. Let's go out and see what's going on. Lu Ming said in his heart. Then he controlled the air-frozen pearl to go out of the tornado. Outside there was an open space. Chapter 1579. Tornadoes surrounded the area, and there was no way out. Lu Ming waved his hand, and Tian Chue and Xuanning came out of the mountain-river diagram. Junior brother, where are we? As soon as Tian Chue appeared, a giant hammer appeared in his hand, and he looked around. We should be in the depths of the Tianfeng Plains, surrounded by tornadoes. Lu Ming said, Oh. Tian Chue and Xuanning looked around, and when they saw that there was no danger, they breathed a sigh of relief. Damn it, I'll kill anyone from the Celestial God Sect and the Desire Poison Clan when I see them in the future. But how did they find us before? They even ambushed us there. Tian Chue cursed. It must be Mo Yang. He colluded with the Celestial God Sect and the Desire Poison Clan. That's why we were ambushed. Xuanning said, Senior sister is right. It wasn't a coincidence that Mo Yang met us. He deliberately found us and then ambushed us. Lu Ming said, Lu Ming had thought of this when they were ambushed by the Celestial God Sect and the Desire Poison Clan. Therefore, he let Mo Yang take Xian Yinqing away because he knew that Xian Yinqing would not be in danger if Mo Yang took Xian Yinqing away. Mo Yang, it's him. I'll crush him sooner or later. Tian Chue said with a murderous look. Lu Ming nodded. He would kill Mo Yang sooner or later. This area is surrounded by tornadoes. There must be something unusual. Let's check it out nearby. Lu Ming said. Tian Chue and Xuanning nodded, and the 3 of them went forward to check the area. The area was quite wide, spanning dozens of miles. What's that over there? It seems to be feathers. Xuanning suddenly pointed forward. The 3 of them rushed over and found that the ground was full of holes, and some feathers were scattered. These are phoenix feathers. Lu Ming was shocked. He had gotten a few phoenix feathers before, so he would never be mistaken. The feathers scattered on the ground were all phoenix feathers. There were more than a dozen of them. They really are phoenix feathers. It seems that there is a divine phoenix living in the Tianfeng Plains. Tian Chue said, Senior brother, senior sister, the phoenix feather is very useful to me. I don't know if you can give it to me. I'm willing to use other treasures to offset it. Lu Ming said, he could let his second body refine the phoenix feather-flying sword. Previously, there were only 5 phoenix feather-flying swords, and the phoenix feathers used in those 5 phoenix feather-flying swords were not of a very high level. However, The phoenix feathers in front of him exuded a faint saintly aura. Clearly, they were left behind by a saintly phoenix. If they were refined into phoenix feather flying swords, they would be even more powerful. Furthermore, the more phoenix feather flying swords there were, the more powerful the sword formation would be. Junior brother, what are you saying? If you have a use for it, just take it all. Why do you need to offset it? Xuanning thought. That's right. You saved our lives just now. You're treating me like an outsider. I'm not happy about that. Tian Chui grinned. Thank you, senior brothers and sisters. Lu Ming cupped his fists and waved his hand. The dozen phoenix feathers on the ground were all taken into the mountain river diagram and landed in the second body's hand. This place is full of potholes. It's obvious that there was a great battle. It seems that the divine phoenix was severely injured. Could it be that the cry of the phoenix was made after it was severely injured? Xuanning guessed. It's possible. Let's take a look again. Lu Ming nodded and said. Then, the three of them continued to investigate. However, the three of them were highly focused. If a saintly phoenix was injured, it was obvious that the opponent of the saintly phoenix was extremely powerful. Whether it was a human or a divine beast, they had to be careful. Along the way, the ground was full of potholes. It could be seen how fierce the battle was. On the way, Lu Ming and the others found a few more phoenix feathers, which were all put away by Lu Ming. Not long after, they found a deep pit. The pit was more than 500 meters in length and width and more than 1,000 meters deep. When the three of them saw it, they speculated that there used to be a huge ancient tree. Now, it had been dug away, including its roots. Phoenix incense wood. The three of them looked at each other and thought of the phoenix incense wood. Perhaps the divine phoenix lived on the phoenix incense wood. Now, the divine phoenix was injured and missing, and the phoenix incense would have been dug away by someone. There are scattered tree roots over there. Tian Chui's eyes saw tree roots in the deep pit. The three of them flew down and saw a tree root. It was as thick as a thigh and emitted a strange fragrance. It was definitely the phoenix incense wood. Let's look again. There might be some scattered tree roots. Lu Ming said. The three of them began to search, turning over the soil in the deep pit. Indeed, the three of them found quite a number of tree roots. The value of the phoenix incense wood's tree roots was even more valuable than the tree branches. The three of them divided it equally and gained a lot. It's a pity that the entire phoenix incense wood has been dug away. Otherwise, how much would it be worth if we got it? Tian Chui's eyes lit up. The phoenix incense wood could help a martial artist calm his mind. Any martial artist would need it. How many martial artists were there in Yuanlu? No one knew. The phoenix incense wood was definitely something that everyone would fight for. An entire phoenix incense wood could be sold for a lot of origin stones. The three of them searched carefully again. After finding nothing, they left the place. Soon, the three of them were shocked because they found a person. To be more precise, there was a blood pit there. A figure was sitting cross-legged in the blood pit. Eden! Lu Ming was shocked. That figure was actually Eden from the Divine Ruins continent group. Lu Ming had a deep impression of this person. This person's bloodline was a phoenix Guqin. He could play the divine tune of the phoenix and was very powerful. Eden was actually able to enter this place. At this moment, Eden was sitting cross-legged in the blood pit. The blood in the blood pit turned into phantoms of phoenixes and entered Eden's body. The blood was obviously the blood of the phoenix. Lu Ming, do you know this person? Tian Chui asked. Yes, he came from the same continent group as me. He was a peerless genius in our continent group and later joined the Celestial Sect. Lu Ming said, Someone from the Celestial Sect. Tian Chui's eyes emitted a cold, murderous intent. However, Eden was completely unaware of the outside world. He was fully focused on absorbing the blood of the phoenix. Bang! A moment later, an illusionary figure of a phoenix flew out from Eden's body. After letting out a cry, Eden's aura skyrocketed. Fifth layer martial dominator realm. It was obvious that Eden's cultivation had broken through to the fifth layer martial dominator realm. At this moment, Eden opened his eyes. When he saw Lu Ming and the others, his eyes widened and he quickly backed away. Lu Ming, it's you? Soon after, Eden let out a cry of surprise, as if it was in disbelief. Of course it's me. Why, don't you recognize me? Lu Ming said with a smile. Eden pondered for a moment before saying, Lu Ming, I've already left the celestial sect. Oh, Lu Ming raised his eyebrows. Chapter 1580. Eden shook his head. The heavenly divinity sect's philosophy and actions are not in line with my martial Tao. If I continue to stay, my cultivation progress will be even slower. Haha, kid, you have good taste. It's good that you left. The heavenly divinity sect will be destroyed by the divine Dragon Valley sooner or later. Tian Chue laughed loudly. He would be happy whenever he heard someone belittling the heavenly divinity sect. Are you the only one who left? Lu Ming asked. Ji Hongqin also left. However, after she left with me, she kept heading west and left the Tsang state. I don't know where she is now. Eden said. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. It was good that these people left. It would be difficult to attack the heavenly divinity sect in the future. How did you enter this place? What happened here? Lu Ming asked again. Eden had entered this place earlier than them, so he might know something. I followed the crowd into the heavenly wind plains. Not long after, I had a strong feeling. I followed the feeling and came here. As soon as I arrived, this place was already like this. However, the hurricane did not surround us at that time. After Yi Dian finished speaking, he looked around and frowned when he saw the whirlwind surrounding them. Lu Ming nodded. It seemed that Eden had entered this place earlier than them. Now, it seems that we have to wait for the hurricane to move before we can leave this place. Eden looked around again and said, Not necessarily. Lu Ming smiled, making Eden's eyes light up. Then the few of them checked the area again, but they did not find anything. Eden, do you want to leave this place? I'll take you with me, Lu Ming said. Can you break through the obstruction of the hurricane? Eden asked. Of course, let's go. Lu Ming nodded. The four of them randomly chose a direction and rushed over. When they were close to the hurricane, the air-frozen pearl appeared between Lu Ming's eyebrows and scattered rays of green light. Lu Ming's heart moved. The green light turned into a green light screen and enveloped the four of them. Being enveloped by the green light screen, the four of them could not feel the wind outside. The four of them walked forward. When they entered the hurricane, they were not affected at all. This greatly surprised Eden. The four of them walked through the hurricane as if they were walking on flat ground. After a while, the four of them passed through the hurricane and arrived outside. When they arrived outside, the four of them narrowed their eyes. The reason for that was because they discovered that the area was filled with tornadoes. Tornadoes as tall as the sky were revolving around an enormous mountain peak. In the void outside the hurricane, there were many people standing there, looking at the mountain in the distance. Lu Ming and the other three immediately retracted their auras and hid in the back. People from the Desire Poison sect and the Heavenly God sect. When they looked forward, most of them were from the Desire Poison sect and the Celestial God sect. After all, the Desire Poison sect and the Heavenly God sect were the closest to this place. Naturally, they would have the most people here. Aside from the Desire Poison sect and the Heavenly God sect, the rest were martial artists from small sects and forces. Of course, there were also some people from the other 11 top sects in the Tsang province. Of course, there were only a few of them. Sky Universe Devil Sect. Lu Ming's gaze turned cold as he saw the people from the Sky Universe Demon Sect. He also saw Mo Yang, but he did not see Xian Yinqing. Where did Xiao Qing go? Could she be looking for me? Lu Ming guessed, and he became a little worried. Chirp! The cry of a phoenix resounded through the world. This phoenix cry was loud and clear, and it was filled with the domineering aura of the king of birds. It was completely different from the cry of despair and unwillingness from before. The cry came from the mountain peak. This cry is completely different from the phoenix cry from before. Strange. Could there be two phoenixes here? Lu Ming muttered in his heart. Then another cry resounded through the world. Everyone's eyes looked at the mountain that was surrounded by tornadoes. Was there really a phoenix in the mountain? At this moment, the mountain shone. Then everyone saw a phoenix soar into the sky and hover above the mountain, exuding a vast and terrifying aura. Everyone took a closer look and found that it was not a real phoenix at all. It was a phantom made of energy. Boom! Then a beam of light rushed out from the mountain. The phoenix's cry became even more intense. As for that aura, it was even more frightening. It filled the entire region, and before that aura, everyone had the urge to kneel down and prostrate themselves in worship. What is this aura? It's so terrifying. This seems to be the aura of a weapon. It's not a living creature, but the aura is too terrifying. It's many times stronger than an ordinary sacred weapon. Could it be that there's a supreme sacred weapon inside, or... He didn't say the last sentence, but everyone's hearts were shaken. Everyone knew what that person wanted to say. Or an emperor weapon. An emperor weapon was the exclusive weapon of an emperor-level expert. When they thought of this, many people's breathing became heavy. There was an emperor weapon hidden in the Tianfeng Plains, especially the people of the Heavenly Divine Sect and the Poison Desire Sect. If a top sect could obtain an emperor weapon, they would be able to dominate Sangzhou as long as they activated a trace of its power. Even if it was not an emperor weapon, but a supreme sacred weapon, its value would still be shocking. If not for the tornadoes in front, many people would have rushed in directly. On the mountain, the phantom of a phoenix circled, and its cry became louder and louder. Send a message back and ask the Sacred Realm experts to come. Someone from the Heavenly Divine Sect ordered. At the same time, someone from the Poison Desire Sect also ordered. As long as someone from the other top sects was here, they would think of a way to send a message back and ask the Sacred Realm experts to come. It was suspected that an emperor weapon had appeared here. This was definitely a big matter that would shake Sangzhou. As long as the top sects received the news, they would definitely send experts over. After the news was spread, everyone waited. It's a pity that the Dragon God Valley is too far away. Even if we send a message back, it will be too late. Tian Chui sighed. Senior brother, senior sister, wait for me here. At this moment, Lu Ming suddenly said, Junior brother, what are you doing? Are you going in alone? Xuanning thought, Senior sister, don't worry. I won't go in alone. Lu Ming said. Lu Ming had the wind calming bead, so the tornadoes could not stop him. However, Lu Ming would not go in. With his cultivation, even if he went in and obtained the emperor weapon, he would not be able to leave. There were so many people watching. Moreover, this matter was not simple. There seemed to be a force in the dark. That force had injured the divine phoenix and dug out the phoenix incense wood. Perhaps the changes in the heavenly wind plains were caused by that force. However, that force had not shown up yet. Lu Ming would not take the risk by going in alone. Then, Lu Ming withdrew his aura and transformed into a sallow-faced young man. His aura also changed into another kind of aura. Then he rushed forward. Chapter 1581. Whoosh! Lu Ming dashed towards the tornado. What's that kid doing? He opened his eyes after seeing the treasure. He's courting death. Some of them sneered when they saw Lu Ming dashing towards the tornado. However, when Lu Ming approached the tornado, he stopped, causing some of them to burst into laughter. They thought that Lu Ming had opened his eyes after seeing the treasure and wanted to rush over, but he was afraid at the last minute. At this moment, Lu Ming's lips curled into a sneer. His glabella shone, and the wind-calming pearl appeared in his palm. Whoosh! Then, Lu Ming dashed into the tornado. Everyone was stunned. They did not expect Lu Ming to rush into the tornado. That kid has a rare treasure and is not afraid of the tornado. Someone reacted. It's that bead. Who is that kid? We must take him down. A half-saint expert from the Heavenly God sect shouted coldly, his eyes burning with passion. Someone actually had a rare treasure and was not afraid of the tornado. If they could get it, wouldn't they be able to enter the mountain directly? Damn it. Did that guy enter the mountain alone? The people from the Heavenly God sect and the Poison sect were furious. They had already sent back news that the Sage Realm experts would be arriving soon. However, someone dared to rush into the mountain with a rare treasure. Let's surround this place. Even if that kid got a rare treasure, he won't be able to escape. Once he comes out, we'll kill him. The half-saint expert from the Heavenly God sect said coldly. Rumble. At this moment, the tornado that Lu Ming had entered actually moved. It moved in the direction of the Celestial Divinity sect. What's going on? The Heavenly God sect's people were shocked and quickly retreated. That kid's rare treasure can control the tornado. The half-saint from the Heavenly God sect roared, his eyes burning with passion. He was right. The air-frozen pearl could control the tornado. Now Lu Ming was using the air-frozen pearl to control the tornado. Lu Ming had discovered this when he was in the hurricane. After the air-frozen bead absorbed dozens of wind crystals, it had the ability to control the hurricane. Lu Ming was in the middle of the hurricane. He controlled the hurricane and swept it towards the people of the Heavenly Divinity sect at an increasingly faster speed. Damn it, retreat, retreat. The Heavenly Divinity sect's people roared and retreated quickly. Even a Saint Realm expert would die if they entered such a hurricane, let alone them. Not far away, Tian Chue and the other two were dumbstruck when they saw this. Haha, as expected of junior brother Lu Ming. Amazing. After being stunned for a while, Tian Chue exclaimed in joy. As the Heavenly Divinity sect's people retreated quickly, Lu Ming's hurricane speed also increased. It was now several times faster than before as he chased after the Heavenly Divinity sect. At the scene, everyone else was shocked. Since he was able to control the hurricanes, he was simply invincible in this place. Damn it, who is that brat? How dare they go against our Heavenly God sect? Investigate, we must investigate. A half-step sage from the Heavenly God sect roared. Who at this moment, a hurricane suddenly moved from the side and rushed towards the Heavenly Divinity sect's people. In the heavenly wind plains, there were some hurricanes that surrounded the mountain. However, there were still many hurricanes that stayed in various parts of the heavenly wind plains. At this moment, Lu Ming was controlling a hurricane from afar and rushing towards the Heavenly Divinity sect's people. Of course, there was a limit to this kind of long-distance control. If it was too far away, he wouldn't be able to control it. This time, dozens of Heavenly Divinity sect's people were caught off guard and were swept into the hurricane, including a half-step sage expert. A series of miserable shrieks rang out. Those below the half-step sage realm were instantly shredded into pieces by the hurricane. Only that half-step sage expert was still holding on. A saint weapon appeared on his body and frantically resisted the hurricane around him. No, let me out quickly. That half-step sage expert screamed in horror. He wanted to charge out with all his might, but with his cultivation, he was swept into the hurricane and couldn't get out. The terrifying hurricane constantly bombarded the saint weapon, causing it to tremble. It seemed like it wouldn't be able to hold on for long. Let me out quickly. Brat, how dare you offend my Heavenly Divinity sect? You're courting death. That half-step sage continued to scream and threaten Lu Ming, asking Lu Ming to let him go. How pitiful. Go in peace. Lu Ming's indifferent voice rang out. Of course, Lu Ming had deliberately changed his voice so that others couldn't recognize that he was Lu Ming. Then he controlled the hurricane and swept it towards the other heavenly divinity sects people. Split up and escape. Split up and escape. The remaining heavenly divinity sects experts roared. Then the heavenly divinity sects people split up and fled in all directions. Lu Ming sighed inwardly. The speed of the hurricane was still too slow. It couldn't catch up with those experts. Just now, it had caught them off guard and swept them into the hurricane. At this moment, the half-step sage expert who was swept into the hurricane couldn't hold on any longer. Crack! Cracks appeared on his holy armament. Then, with a loud bang, it exploded. No! The half-step sage roared in horror. Then he turned into ashes in the endless, terrifying hurricane. Everyone was shocked. A half-step sage had been tricked and died just like that. Lu Ming's figure walked out of the hurricane. The air-frozen pearl shrouded him in green light. The heavenly divinity, sects, people stared at Lu Ming. If looks could kill, Lu Ming would be riddled with holes. Brat, who are you? How dare you kill an expert of my heavenly divinity sect? From afar, Yu Sheng glared at Lu Ming and roared. Those who are unjust are doomed to destruction. I just don't like your heavenly divinity sect. Lu Ming said indifferently. You're courting your own death. Yu Sheng roared. Oh, then come and kill me. Lu Ming smiled faintly. Yu Sheng's face turned ugly. What a joke. Asking him to kill Lu Ming now. Wasn't he courting death? Kill. A half-step sage of the heavenly divinity sect slashed out a beam of saint light toward Lu Ming. Lu Ming smiled disdainfully. His figure flashed and entered the hurricane. The beam of saint light slashed the hurricane and was immediately destroyed by the hurricane's power. Then Lu Ming controlled the hurricane and continued to stare at the half-step sage. The half-step sage's face changed greatly, and he hurriedly turned and fled. Whoosh! The hurricane swept out. At this moment, it suddenly changed direction and rushed toward the people of the heavenly divinity sect. What are you doing? Mo Yang roared and hurriedly fled. The other people of the heavenly divinity sect also hurriedly fled. Lu Ming controlled the hurricane and chased after them. The people of the heavenly divinity sect and the heavenly divinity sect were in a mess. Lu Ming took special care of Mo Yang. He stared at him and chased after him, leaving Mo Yang in a sorry state. Mo Yang was furious. He was one of the top 10 monstrous geniuses of the Tsang Prefecture, but he was being chased up and down in public. He had lost all face. Lu Ming chased after him. Suddenly, he changed direction and rushed toward the people of the Desire Poison sect. Chapter 1582. Around them, the people from the other small forces were all a little stunned. Lu Ming was actually chasing after the 3 top sects at the same time, which was very confusing. However, the people from the 3 sects were indeed in a very sorry state. Kid, when the celestial god sect Saint Realm powerhouses arrive, you'll be dead. Saint Yu roared. Yes, there are also Saint Realm powerhouses from the Desire Poison sect. They will arrive soon. Even if you hide in the tornado, you'll still die. Someone from the Desire Poison sect also roared. They were really angry. Lu Ming was simply cheating by hiding in the tornado. He could only chase after them, but they could only escape. They couldn't fight back, as fighting back was tantamount to courting death. Needless to say, they were very aggrieved. Lu Ming ignored them and focused on controlling the tornado to chase after them. However, the people from the 3 sects had learned their lesson and stayed away from all the tornadoes. This way, even if Lu Ming could control the other tornadoes, he wouldn't be able to kill the people from the 3 sections. In the end, Lu Ming stared at Mo Yang and chased him around the area for more than a dozen laps. His face was flushed with anger and frustration. After chasing for a while, when they were far away, Lu Ming silently came out of the tornado. He then changed his figure and aura and came to a place not far from Tianchue and the others. The tornado stopped, but the people from the three sects were still cautious and vigilant, staying away from any tornado. After a while, the tornadoes didn't move at all. Only then did the people from the three sects let out a long sigh of relief. However, the people from the three sects all had terrifying flames in their eyes. They knew that they had been tricked by Lu Ming. If this matter were to spread, the three sects would lose face. And Mo Yang, in particular, was even more furious. Just like that, while the people from the three sects were on high alert, time quickly passed. An hour later, whoosh! In the sky, a white holy light flashed, and an old man in a white robe appeared in the air. Elder, the Saint Realm Elder of the Celestial God Sect, has arrived. The people from the Celestial God Sect were overjoyed. Whoosh! Whoosh! Then, the sound of the air being torn apart continuously rang out. At least 7 or 8 figures appeared in the sky, each of them exuding a vast pressure. That was the might of a saint. All of the people who came were of the saint plane. Some wore green robes, while others wore white robes. They were the Saint Realm experts of the Desire Poison Sect and the Celestial God Sect. Each sect had sent 3 saints. There were also 2 Saint Realm experts who were not from the 2 major sections. They should be experts from small forces nearby. Some small sects and forces also had Saint Realm experts in charge. Some sects were not weak at all. They were only slightly weaker than the 13 top sections. The 8 Saint Realm powerhouses stood in the void and looked at the mountain in front of them. To be more precise, they were looking at the phantom of the phoenix. What a powerful aura! This is at least a holy weapon, or even higher. A sage realm expert from the Celestial Divinity Sect spoke, his eyes burning with passion. The other Saint Realm experts were the same. Their eyes were burning with passion. Boom! Suddenly, a saint from the Celestial God Sect moved. He took a step forward, and the entire world shook. A milky white saint light shot up to the sky from his body. Finally, boundless saint light condensed into a battle blade. The saber was at least tens of thousands of meters long. It crossed the void and slashed at the tornadoes ahead. Boom! The saint light battle blade slashed at the tornadoes, and an ear-piercing sound was heard. The terrifying winds were like endless blades. They kept slashing at the Saint Light battle blade, and the space around it kept shaking. Break for me! The Saint Realm expert from the Celestial God Sect roared. His aura was even more terrifying. The Saint Light battle blade shone brightly as it tried to cut the tornadoes apart. The huge Saint Light battle blade actually cut into the tornadoes. Many people held their breaths and widened their eyes as they looked ahead. Could a Saint Realm expert break through the tornadoes? However, the Saint Light battle blade was only halfway through when it was slashed by the endless wind blades and exploded. The Saint Realm expert from the Celestial God Sect had failed. In the distance, Lu Ming's expression was still very serious. The strength of a Saint Realm expert is really terrifying. Lu Ming thought to himself. He knew how powerful the tornadoes were. If a half-saint entered, only death would await them. They wouldn't even be able to resist. However, the Saint Realm expert just now had been able to break through half of the tornadoes. He had almost completely split the tornadoes in half. His strength was truly terrifying. In the face of such an expert, Lu Ming wouldn't be safe even if he hid in the tornadoes with the air-frozen pearl. The tornadoes here are too strong. One person can't break through. How about we work together? A Saint Realm expert from the Desire Poison Sect said. Work together? Then how will the treasures be divided after we enter? A Saint Realm expert from the Celestial God Sect asked. After we enter, of course, it will be based on our own abilities. Whoever obtains it will get it. A Saint Realm expert from the Desire Poison Sect said. Okay, we agree. The 3 Saint Realm experts from the Celestial God sect nodded in unison. Then the Saint Realm experts from the other two small sects also nodded in agreement. Boom! 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 8 Saint Realm experts erupted with a terrifying aura at the same time. Vast and boundless Saint aura filled the air. At the same time, a Saint weapon shot out from each of their bodies, emitting a dazzling light. In the hands of a Saint Realm expert, the power of a Saint weapon was completely different from that of a person below the Saint Realm. It was extremely terrifying. Then, the 8 of them attacked at the same time. 8 Saint weapons bombarded the tornadoes at the same time. Boom! The tornadoes shook violently. Although the tornadoes were powerful, they couldn't stop the combined attacks of the 8 Saint Realm experts. After a loud boom, the tornadoes exploded into endless gales that scattered between heaven and earth. Many people's eyes lit up when they saw that the tornadoes had been destroyed. Continue. A Saint Realm expert from the Celestial God sect said. Then, the 8 Saint Realm experts continued to attack. Terrifying attacks continuously bombarded the tornadoes. Under the attacks of the 8 Saint Realm experts, the tornadoes collapsed and turned into wind energy that dissipated between heaven and earth. Soon, at least a dozen tornadoes were blasted apart. A huge gap appeared in the tornadoes surrounding the mountain. Everyone could clearly see the situation inside the mountain. At the bottom of the mountain, there was a huge cave. Resplendent light shone from within the cave. Surprisingly, the other tornadoes around the mountain didn't move. They didn't fill the gap. Whoosh! Suddenly, a Saint Realm elder from the Celestial God sect turned into a beam of light and charged toward the mountain. He instantly charged through the area covered by the tornadoes. Don't even think about it. The Desire Poison sect expert roared and charged forward. In the blink of an eye, the 8 Saint Realm experts charged into the area covered by the tornadoes and into the cave. Let's go in and take a look. Chapter 1583. One by one, the figures charged into the cave and disappeared. Senior brother, senior sister, shall we go in as well? Lu Ming came to Tian Chue and Xuanningsin's side and returned to his original appearance. All right, let's go in and have a look. Tian Chue said. Lu Ming, I won't go in. Eden shook his head. Eden knew that, with his cultivation, he would not be of any use if he went in. If he encountered danger, he would be a burden to Lu Ming and the others. Lu Ming nodded and did not say anything. He rushed into the cave with Tian Chue and Xuanningsin. The cave was huge. After rushing in, there was a slanted passage leading downwards. At this time, another phoenix cry was heard. It came from the bottom of the cave, but it was low, weak, and full of despair. Boom! 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 Then there was a terrible roar from below. Is there a big battle down there? Lu Ming and the other two's expressions changed. They became even more cautious. They restrained their auras completely and took out their sacred weapons at any time. At the same time, Lu Ming was prepared to bring Tian Chue and Xuanningsin into the mountain river painting. The passage was not long. Soon, the 3 of them reached the end. At the end of the passage was a huge and spacious underground cave. It seemed to be man-made. As soon as Lu Ming and the other 2 entered the underground cave, they were stunned. They looked ahead in horror. In front of the underground cave, there was a huge wall. On the wall, there was a phoenix nailed. Yes, a divine phoenix was nailed to the wall. Its wings and legs were pierced through and nailed to the wall. Its neck was also chained to the wall. Blood continued to flow from his wings, from his feet, and along the wall. At that moment, the phoenix was already extremely weak. Its aura was like gossamer. Chirp! It let out a mournful cry that was full of despair. Lu Ming was shocked. It seemed that the cry of the phoenix that was heard in the Tianfeng plains was from this phoenix. It was full of despair and unwillingness. A divine bird, a phoenix, was nailed to the wall by someone. It could only watch as its blood flowed out and died. How unreconciled was this? Who was it that did this? Boom! Boom! The violent roar interrupted Lu Ming's train of thought. It also made Lu Ming shift his gaze away from the phoenix and look down. Below the wall, there was an ancient altar. The blood of the phoenix flowed along the wall and flowed onto the altar, seeping into it. A mirror floated above the altar. This mirror was engraved with the image of a phoenix. Furthermore, the image of a phoenix was fluttering around the surface of the mirror. The resplendent light was emitted by this mirror. Chirp! The cry of a phoenix resounded. It was intense, high-pitched, and filled with the domineering aura of the king of birds. Lu Ming finally realized that the phoenix phantom that had appeared on the mountain and the high-pitched cry had come from this mirror. There were indeed two different phoenix cries. One belonged to the phoenix, and the other belonged to the mirror. This mirror was enveloped by a halo that exuded a terrifying pressure. The 8 saints were attacking the halo on the mirror. This pressure seems to be the pressure of an emperor. Lu Ming was shocked when he felt the pressure from the mirror. He had felt the pressure of Emperor Tsang and the soul destroyer Shakyamuni before. It was extremely similar to this ancient mirror. An emperor weapon. A word flashed across Lu Ming's mind. There was really an emperor weapon here. This is a formation. Lu Ming's eyes narrowed. With his eye of discernment, he could easily tell that the altar and the ground beside it were covered in runes, forming a huge formation. This is a sealing formation. The emperor weapon is the core. Also, the phoenix that was nailed to the wall is the key to breaking the formation. The blood that flowed out can break the formation. At this moment, many thoughts flashed across Lu Ming's mind. Someone had injured the phoenix and nailed it to the wall. The phoenix's resentful blood was used to break the formation here. Now, they had barged into this place. The 8 saints were obviously attracted by the emperor weapon. They were attacking the halo with all their might, trying to seize the emperor weapon. In this way, they would be helping to break the formation. If Lu Ming could see and think of all these, the 8 sage realm powerhouses would definitely be able to think of all these as well. However, the 8 sage realm powerhouses no longer cared about anything else. They only had eyes for the emperor weapon. As long as they could get the emperor weapon, it did not matter what formation they broke. The 8 sage realm powerhouses continued to bombard the light screen, causing the underground cavern to shake continuously. The others watched from afar. They could not interfere at all. Crack! After a while, the halo could not take it anymore. It let out a cracking sound. A crack appeared on the halo. Then, the number of cracks increased. Finally, the halo exploded with a bang. When the halo shattered, the cry of a phoenix reverberated through the cavern. The emperor weapon is mine. A saint of the celestial divinity, Sect, shouted. Dream on. Let's see if you have the ability to get the emperor weapon. The saint of the desire poison, Sect, roared. His body was covered in poisonous gas that surged toward the saint of the celestial divinity Sect. At the same time, he formed a huge hand and grabbed at the ancient phoenix mirror. Scram! Those who block me will die. Kill! It was a mess. It was a complete mess. When the halo shattered, the 8 saints were in a complete mess. The 8 of them rushed toward the ancient phoenix mirror. At the same time, they fought fiercely. The value of an emperor weapon was too high. It was unimaginable. Dong! A huge hand formed from poisonous gas grabbed at the ancient phoenix mirror. However, the ancient phoenix mirror trembled, and a phoenix cried. A beam of light shot out from the ancient phoenix mirror and destroyed the huge hand. But then a huge hand, completely condensed from holy light, grabbed at the ancient phoenix mirror. Chirp! The ancient phoenix mirror cried out. Then a phoenix shadow rushed out and destroyed the huge hand. Then the ancient phoenix mirror trembled and flew toward the top. A huge cauldron, a saint weapon, came down to suppress the ancient phoenix mirror. However, the ancient phoenix mirror flashed and dodged the cauldron's suppression. The huge cauldron did not suppress the ancient phoenix mirror. Its terrifying power slammed into the altar below, causing it to explode. Boom! On the other side, the ancient phoenix mirror crashed into the wall above. Rubble flew everywhere. The ancient phoenix mirror pierced through the mountain and created a tunnel. The ancient phoenix mirror flew out along the tunnel. Where are you going? Chase! The 8 saints soared into the sky and chased after the ancient phoenix mirror. In the blink of an eye, there was not a single saint left in the underground cavern. At this time, everyone looked at the phoenix that was nailed to the wall. Chapter 1584. They were not qualified to fight for the imperial weapon, but now that the saint had left, they could not miss out on the phoenix. Whoosh! Whoosh! One by one, they rushed toward the phoenix on the wall. Get lost! You're courting death! Kill! Roars rang out one after another, and all kinds of dazzling lights exploded, filled with terrifying, murderous intent. Suddenly, dozens of experts exploded in the air, and blood splattered everywhere. Among them, Mo Yang was the most terrifying. When he attacked, the sky was filled with black, demonic flames. Those who came into contact with them were immediately burned to ashes. There were also a few half-saints from the Desire Poison sect and the Celestial God sect. They were also extremely terrifying. With a wave of their hands, they killed one expert after another. They were the fastest, and they rushed toward the phoenix. No one noticed that the blood of the people who had been killed quickly seeped into the ground and disappeared after spilling onto the ground. At this time, Lu Ming also rushed out. However, Lu Ming did not rush toward the phoenix, but toward the side of the altar. There was a stone plate there. It was the size of a plate, and there was a Tai Chi pattern carved on it. Just now, when the altar was shattered, this stone plate flew out from the altar. Everyone thought that the large array on the altar only had one core, and that was the ancient phoenix mirror. However, Lu Ming could see that the large array on the altar actually had 2 cores. One of them was the phoenix ancient mirror. As for the other core, it was the stone plate. To be able to serve as the core of this large array together with the ancient phoenix mirror, it was definitely not simple. Lu Ming reached out and grabbed the stone plate, but the stone plate did not budge. It's so heavy. Lu Ming was shocked. He tried to grab it, but he could not lift it. This stone plate was heavier than a mountain. Let's put it away with the mountain and river diagram first. Lu Ming's eyebrows lit up, and a beam of light shot out, enveloping the stone plate. The stone plate was successfully put into the mountain and river diagram. At this time, Lu Ming suddenly felt a terrible crisis in his heart. This sense of crisis made Lu Ming feel as if he had fallen into an abyss. Oh no, it's dangerous. Without a second thought, Lu Ming took a step back and retreated. At the same time, Mo Yang, who was pouncing towards the phoenix, had a drastic change in his expression. He suddenly turned around and retreated frantically. However, all peerless geniuses had extremely sharp spiritual senses. They could often sense the danger that was about to befall them. Thus, they could overcome all kinds of difficulties and reach the peak. Lu Ming was such a person, and there was no doubt that Mo Yang was the same. Just as the two of them retreated, wisps of black smoke came out of the altar and wrapped around the group of cultivators. Ah, what the hell is this? Someone shouted in horror. A horrifying scene occurred. All those who were entangled by the black smoke had their bodies rapidly shriveled up, turning into dried corpses. It was like being devoured by Lu Ming's devouring power. Ah, get lost! The others cried out in fear. They wanted to retreat, but it was too late. Everyone who was surrounded by the black smoke turned into dried corpses. Break! Only a few half-saints could fight back. They took out their sacred weapons and attacked with all their might, scattering the wisps of black smoke. However, after the black smoke was scattered, it gathered again, and all of it rushed towards one person. That person was a half-saint from the Celestial God sect, who had participated in the killing of Lu Ming. All of the black smoke gathered, and its power increased greatly. Even the half-saint's sacred weapon was useless, as he was entangled by the black smoke. The black smoke was like small snakes that burrowed into the half-saint's body. The half-saint screamed in despair. Then, like the others, he turned into a dried corpse. Run! The few half-saints who had escaped were terrified. They roared and retreated quickly. The others were also terrified and retreated towards the passage behind them. Lu Ming, Tian Chue, and Xue Ningxin blended in with the crowd and retreated towards the passage. However, when they approached the tunnel, the walls on both sides of the tunnel suddenly exploded. Several figures appeared in a flash and surrounded the entrance of the tunnel. These people were all wrapped in black robes, revealing only a pair of cold eyes. Kill! As soon as these people appeared, they charged towards Lu Ming and the others without saying a word. The crowd was shocked. They had not expected that there would be people hiding on the walls on both sides. It was not difficult for a martial royal realm cultivator to make a big hole in the wall and then smooth it out or even restore it to its original state. As long as he mastered the earth domain or the mountain domain, it would not be too difficult. However, the crowd was distracted by the sacred weapon and the phoenix. They were caught off guard, and a large number of experts were killed in an instant. Whoosh! Whoosh! Sword radiance flashed and blood splattered everywhere. The figures fell one by one. Half-saints! Half-saints! Someone shouted in horror. There were at least 7 or 8 half-saints among the black-robed men. Sword radiance flashed, and no one could block it. The most shocking thing was that there were a few black-robed men standing at the side. They did not attack, but the aura they emitted was extremely shocking. That was the sacred aura. Those black-robed men were all sacred realm experts. Who are you? How dare you kill the people of the Celestial God sect? A half-saint from the Celestial God sect shouted angrily. However, what greeted him was a terrifying sword radiance. Whoosh! 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 Those sacred realm black-robed men did not attack them. Instead, they walked past them and appeared in front of the broken altar. They bowed and said in unison, "Welcome back to the world, Guardian King." Flesh and blood, I want flesh and blood. Beneath the altar, a shriveled and unpleasant voice rang out, causing one's hair to stand on end upon hearing it. Guardian King? Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. These people were from the evil spirit sect. Lu Ming's mind raced. He finally knew what had happened here. There was actually a Guardian King of the evil spirit sect sealed here. Previously, the array with the Tai Chi array disc and the Phoenix ancient mirror as the core was to seal the Guardian King of the evil spirit sect. However, the evil spirit sect wanted to save the Guardian King of the evil spirit sect. Therefore, they entered the heavenly wind plains and severely injured the Phoenix. Then, they nailed the Phoenix to the wall and used its resentful blood to break the array. Therefore, over the past half a month, the cries of the Phoenix could be heard from time to time. They were filled with unwillingness and despair, which attracted so many experts. By the time the 8 sages had entered, the power of the array was already very weak. In order to fight for the Phoenix ancient mirror, the 8 sages had forcefully broken the array here and destroyed the altar, allowing the Phoenix ancient mirror to escape. This was equivalent to helping the evil spirit sect greatly. Now, the Guardian King of the evil spirit sect was about to come out of seclusion. Guardian King, we'll help you break the last array formation first, a black-robed sage shouted. Then several black-robed sages joined forces and bombarded the ground below the altar. There was another array formation there. However, that array formation was not very strong. Under the bombardment of several sages, it was on the verge of collapse. Senior brother, senior sister, let's go through the passage above, Lu Ming shouted. The three of them rushed toward the passage above them that had been pierced by the Phoenix ancient mirror. Chapter 1585. The three of them controlled their sacred weapons and sent the black-robed men flying into the sky. The others had the same idea as Lu Ming and the others and rushed toward the passage above them. At least 100 people rushed toward the passage above them. Some of them rushed toward the passage that they had entered earlier. Kill! The black-robed men killed with all their might and left a large number of corpses in the underground cave. However, there were many of them who had entered this time. Although a large number of them had been killed, there were still a few hundred of them rushing toward the two passages. Boom! At this moment, the underground cave shook violently. The formation was broken. Rubble flew everywhere, and a dark cave appeared below. An old man who looked like a skeleton floated out of the cave. Flesh and blood, flesh and blood. The skeleton-like old man's hoarse voice rang out. Then he rushed toward the corpses that had been killed. Wisps of black smoke emanated from the old man and enveloped the corpses. Instantly, the corpses quickly shriveled. Even the blood on the ground was absorbed by the black smoke. The skeleton-like old man's body became fuller and more lustrous. "Ha ha! Spirit-devouring Dharma King, have finally come out." The old man laughed. His eyes were filled with shocking blood-red light. "Welcome back to the world, Dharma King." Several black-robed saints bowed. You've done well." Spirit-devouring Dharma King nodded. Then he looked at the passage above and said, "I need more flesh and blood. Kill." With that, Shakyamuni devouring spirit soared into the sky and chased after Yi Futian. The other saints also rushed out. At this moment, Lu Ming and the others had already rushed out of the passage. As soon as they rushed out of the passage, they realized that the tornadoes that had been surrounding them had all disappeared. Even the tornadoes on the Tianfeng Plains had all disappeared. The Tianfeng Plains had become an ordinary plain. Boom! Boom! In the sky, there were continuous explosions. Poison gas and sacred light filled the sky. At the same time, there was the cry of a phoenix. 8 saints were fighting in the sky to fight for the Phoenix ancient mirror. No, there were more than 8 of them. Lu Ming lifted his head to take a look. He discovered that there were more than 10 figures fighting in the sky. The entire sky was about to explode. More than a dozen people, all of them saints. Clearly, more saints had come to participate in the fight for the Phoenix ancient mirror while they were inside. The Phoenix ancient mirror was surrounded by many saints. More than a dozen saints fought against each other, but no one could get the Phoenix ancient mirror. Bam! Swish! In the sky, a figure was sent flying and vomiting blood. A saint from the Celestial Divinity sect was injured. There were strong and weak saints as well. Clearly, this person was on the weaker side of the saint realm. Once Lu Ming and the rest dashed out of the passageway, they did not stop at all. They dashed out of the Tianfeng Plains. Behind them, the evil spirit sect members gave chase. Some people from the Heavenly Divinity sect and the Poison Desire sect cried out for help from the Saint Realm experts. The injured Saint Realm expert took a step forward and appeared above the crowd. He asked, "What's going on?" "How dare you?" A cold, murderous intent flashed across the Celestial Divine Sex Sage's eyes. He had been the first to be injured in the fight for the Phoenix ancient mirror. He had been suppressing his anger and had nowhere to vent it. Now he turned his target to the evil spirit sect. "Kill!" The Heavenly Divine Sex Saint took a step forward. Holy light filled the sky, forming terrifying sword chi that charged toward the evil spirit sect. Instantly, more than a dozen evil spirit sect experts were killed, including 2 half-saints. Saints could condense saint power. Once saint power was released, true essence could not withstand it at all and was instantly pierced through. Retreat! The other evil spirit sect members retreated. However, Lu Ming, Tian Chue, and Xuanixin did not stop at all. They continued to charge out. There was a Dharmaraja sealed here. The Dharmarajas of the evil spirit sect were all emperor-level experts. Even if they had been sealed for many years, they were still absolutely terrifying. It was best to leave now. The heavenly divine sex saint naturally did not know all of this. Holy light burst out from his body, and he stepped toward the evil spirit sect members with a domineering spirit. How dare you kill my heavenly divine sect members? Leave no one alive. The heavenly divine sex saint said coldly, "Is that so? Let's see how you kill them. He he he." At this moment, a cold laugh rang out. The spirit-devouring Dharmaraja flew out of the passage in the mountain, his body covered in black smoke as he flew toward them. The heavenly divine sex saint looked at the spirit-devouring Dharmaraja and frowned slightly. He realized that he could not see through the other party. He did not know the other party's cultivation level, but he could feel that the other party seemed to be very weak. Humph! An old fellow whose blood is about to dry up also came to die. Kill! The heavenly divine sex saint shouted coldly as a divine punishment spear condensed in his hand. Swoosh! The divine punishment spear pierced out, and a terrifying whistling sound rang out in the sky. Even the space rippled. The god's punishment spear used by a Saint Realm expert was too terrifying. It was completely condensed by the Saint Realm's power and contained the power of laws. Lu Ming felt that even if he blocked it with a sacred weapon, he would be penetrated. Bam! The divine punishment spear accurately hit the spirit-devouring Dharmaraja, and the spirit-devouring Dharmaraja exploded. Humph! You can't even withstand a single blow. The heavenly divine sex saint sneered disdainfully. Is that so? He he he. With a cold laugh, the spirit-devouring Dharmaraja turned into wisps of black smoke and entangled the heavenly divine sex saint. How is this possible? Under my power of laws, even a natural spiritual body would be severely injured. The heavenly divine sex saint roared in disbelief. Some natural spiritual bodies, such as flame and lightning spiritual bodies, had strong vitality. When their bodies collapsed, it would greatly reduce the damage. However, the power of laws was extremely harmful to these spiritual bodies. The heavenly divine sex saint's spear could definitely injure the other party, but it seemed that the other party was completely fine. In the next moment, his expression changed drastically because he felt the blood in his body boiling, as if it was about to be devoured by the black smoke that surrounded him. Explode! The heavenly divine sex saint roared, and his saint power burst out, trying to destroy the spirit-devouring Dharmaraja's black smoke. But it was useless. The black smoke dissipated and condensed into small snakes again, drilling into the heavenly divine sex saint's body. This is the spirit-devouring technique. Who are you? The heavenly divine sex saint screamed in horror. Hee, at least you have some knowledge to know about the spirit-devouring technique. I am the spirit-devouring Dharmaraja. A cold laugh came from the black smoke. Spirit-devouring Dharmaraja? You are the spirit-devouring Dharmaraja of the evil spirit sect. Chapter 1586. The Dharma kings of the evil spirit sect were all emperor-level experts. There was actually a Dharma king of the evil spirit sect here. Pooh! At this moment, spirit-devouring Master King reformed his body. His palm was like a knife, piercing through the air. The heavenly god sect saint was so shocked that he forgot to retreat. His heart was pierced by spirit-devouring Shakyamuni's palm. The terrifying spirit-devouring power was madly devouring the heavenly god sect saint's blood. No! The heavenly god sect saint struggled madly, but it was useless. The spirit-devouring king's terrifying power surged into his body and exploded. His saint heart was directly shattered. The heavenly god sect saint was dead. A saint was killed just like that. This was even after Shakyamuni's spirit-devouring king had been sealed for many years, and his strength had been greatly reduced. Otherwise, an emperor-level expert would have been able to kill a celestial god sect saint with a flick of his finger. Let's go. The other party is an evil spirit sect law king, a Dharch expert. At the scene, everyone panicked. Chaos ensued as they frantically fled out of the Tianfeng plains. As for spirit-devouring Dharma King, he had absorbed the blood of a saint, and his aura had become much stronger. Kakik, the blood of a saint is indeed wonderful. There's still a lot here. Spirit-devouring Dharma King looked up at the sky. There were more than a dozen saints there. Whoosh! Spirit-devouring Dharma King soared into the air. The pupils of the dozen saints constricted. Just now, the celestial divinity sect's saint had been killed. Moreover, they had also heard the roar of the celestial divinity sect's saint. Now that the spirit-devouring guardian king had walked over, they were extremely shocked. Everyone, he's a martial monarch. Even though he's been sealed for many years, he's still terrifying. We'd better work together. A saint from the Desire Poison sect spoke first. All right, I agree. I agree too. In the face of spirit-devouring Shakyamuni, they could only join forces. Otherwise, they would die. Chirp! At this moment, the Phoenix Ancient Mirror let out a violent cry. It emitted a brilliant light as if it had turned into a phoenix and rushed out of the encirclement. You want to leave after sealing me for so many years? Spirit-devouring Shakyamuni said coldly. With a wave of his palm, a giant palm condensed and grabbed at the ancient phoenix mirror. The phoenix spread its wings and flapped out a dazzling ray of light. It pierced through the spirit-devouring guardian king's giant hand and then rushed into the distance. Spirit-devouring Dharma King frowned, but he didn't pursue. The other saints were afraid of spirit-devouring Dharma King, so they didn't dare to pursue. In the blink of an eye, the Phoenix Ancient Mirror disappeared from everyone's sight. On the Tianfeng Plains, a young man was madly running out of the Tianfeng Plains. This person was Eden. He didn't enter the mountain, but stayed outside. When he saw the Phoenix Ancient Mirror flying out and a dozen saints participating in the battle, he knew that it was meaningless for him to stay. Moreover, it was extremely dangerous. If he was hit by the shock waves of the battle, he would die. Therefore, he decided to leave the heavenly wind plains and observe in secret. While he was running, the cry of a phoenix rang out. Then, a beam of rainbow light shot into his body and disappeared into it. Eden's expression changed greatly. He carefully sensed his surroundings and was overjoyed. Imperial armament, Phoenix, ancient mirror. Eden let out a low groan. Then he used his movement technique and quickly flew out, disappearing in the blink of an eye. On the other side, spirit-devouring Dharma King looked at the dozen saints with fiery eyes. It seemed that in his eyes, saints were more attractive than imperial armaments. Kill! Suddenly, spirit-devouring Dharma King moved and attacked one of them. Attack! The dozen saints also attacked at the same time. Terrifying attacks gathered and blasted toward spirit-devouring Dharma King. However, spirit-devouring Dharma King's body was as light as a feather. He dodged the attacks and continued to attack one of them. Help the Dharma King! At this moment, a few black-robed men stepped into the sky and joined the battle. They were the saints of the evil spirit sect. They helped spirit-devouring Dharma King restrain his opponents, allowing him to be even more at home. Swoosh! Swoosh! Spirit-devouring Dharma King's body kept flashing. He slapped out with his palm, and wisps of black smoke spread out and surged toward the dozen saints. Spirit-devouring Dharma King had devoured the previous saint. It was obvious that he had become stronger. Those saints seemed to be very afraid of spirit-devouring Dharma King's black smoke. They did not dare to come into contact with the black smoke, and all kinds of attacks were launched to disperse the black smoke. There were also some attacks that blasted toward spirit-devouring Dharma King, but it seemed to be useless against him. His body collapsed and turned into wisps of black smoke. Die. Spirit-devouring Dharma King stared at one of the saints and kept attacking him. That saint was a saint from a small sect and was relatively weak. That saint's face was very ugly and he kept retreating. Lingyan steps. Spirit-devouring Dharma King spat out an ear-piercing voice. His body swayed and suddenly disappeared without a trace. Oh no! That saint was shocked. He unleashed his saint power and controlled the laws to blast in all directions. But splat! Spirit-devouring Dharma King had appeared in front of him. His palm pierced through the saint's heart. The terrifying power directly destroyed the saint's saint heart. Then he began to frantically absorb the saint's blood. Stop him! Don't let him continue to absorb blood. A saint from the Desire Poison sect roared and attacked spirit-devouring Dharma King. The other saints also attacked spirit-devouring Dharma King. Spirit-devouring Dharma King had been sealed for many years. His chi and blood were weak, so his strength was also very weak. But if he absorbed blood, his strength would probably skyrocket. Terrifying attacks landed on spirit-devouring Dharma King's body. Spirit-devouring Dharma King's body exploded, turning into wisps of black smoke and entering the body of the saint he had killed. Ha ha ha, you can't stop me. An evil voice came from the saint's body. His body shriveled up at a speed visible to the naked eye. Destroy his body. Someone roared. Terrifying attacks landed on the saint's body and immediately cracked his body. However, only a small amount of blood spilled out and was swept up by a cloud of black smoke. Ha ha ha! Spirit-devouring Dharma King's laughter continued. He transformed back into a human, but his body was fuller and his aura was stronger. Spirit-devouring palm, kill! Spirit-devouring Dharma King roared. This time he directly attacked. He had absorbed the blood of 2 saints in a row. His strength had greatly increased, and he could use some terrifying techniques. A terrifying palm print formed and blasted toward one of the saints. Bam! That saint exploded and blasted the palm print. But the result was that the saint's body shook violently and he spat out blood and retreated. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh! Spirit-devouring Dharma King blasted out more than a dozen palms. More than a dozen terrifying palm prints formed, blotting out the sky as they blasted toward the saints. More than a dozen saints roared and attacked to block, but in the end, they were all forced to retreat while spitting out blood. Chapter 1587. At the same time, the other saints of the evil spirit sect also joined forces to attack one of them. Bam! That person had just blocked the spirit-devouring king's attack and was then faced with the joint attacks of the other saints. He couldn't resist at all. With a scream, his body was torn apart, and he died on the spot. The spirit-devouring king's claw turned into a cloud of black smoke and absorbed all the blood. Oh no! The other saints' expressions changed drastically. The spirit-devouring king's strength was already shocking enough. Now that it had absorbed the blood of another saint, its strength would definitely be even more terrifying. Let's go! The dozen or so saints actually didn't dare to continue fighting and turned to run. They were originally from different sects and weren't united. At this critical moment, they all wanted to escape and let the others block them. You want to escape? All of you will die. The spirit-devouring king sneered and chased after the other saints with a few evil spirit sect saints. The saints have been defeated. Run. There were still some people watching below. They originally thought that the dozen or so saints would be able to suppress the other party if they joined forces. They didn't expect to see this scene and were immediately scared out of their wits. At this time, Lu Ming, Tian Chue, and Xuaningxin were almost out of the heavenly wind plains. They didn't stop. The spirit-devouring king was at the arch. Although there were more than a dozen saints, Lu Ming still felt that a dozen saints might not be of much use. Oh no, those saints have been defeated. Tian Chui roared. Between heaven and earth, a mighty saint aura spread out. The dozen or so saints scattered and fled in all directions. Let's go. The spirit-devouring king's current target is the saints. Our cultivation levels are too weak. He won't target us now. Lu Ming said. The three of them continued to fly at top speed. In the blink of an eye, they had flown out of the heavenly wind plains. Swoosh! At this moment in the distant sky, a terrifying sharp light pierced into the heavenly wind plains. It was a spear, the spear of divine punishment. Another expert from the heavenly god sect had come. This spear of divine punishment was incomparably terrifying. It streaked across the void as if it had pierced through the void. Saint! Spirit-devouring Dharma King said coldly. He struck out with his palm and collided with the spear of divine punishment. An earth-shattering boom rang out as Spirit-devouring King's body was pushed back dozens of miles. In the distant void, a figure stepped on the air and approached. This was a middle-aged man with a tall and slender figure. One could tell that he was very handsome when he was young. His expression was very calm, but unknowingly he exuded a supreme majesty. Sect Master, it's the Sect Master. Some of the heavenly god sect's disciples cried out when they saw this middle-aged man. Lu Ming and the other two were also shocked. The Sect Master of the Heavenly Divinity Sect actually came personally. I didn't expect an evil spirit Sect King to be sealed here. However, it looks like he should be very weak. A cold voice rang out. The one who spoke wasn't the Sect Master of the Heavenly God Sect, but from the other side. On the other side, a green-robed old man suddenly appeared. He was the one who had spoken earlier. Sect Master, the disciples of the Desire Poison Sect cried out in alarm. The Sect Master of the Desire Poison Sect had also arrived. Kakik, 2 absolute saints actually came. As long as I kill you, I should be able to recover 20% of my cultivation. Spirit-devouring King laughed loudly. Spirit-devouring King, you still want to kill us in your current state? What a joke. Retreat now. Leave the Tsang state, and I won't pursue today's matter. The Sect Master of the Heavenly God Sect said calmly. A mere absolute saint. How arrogant. What if I don't retreat? Spirit-devouring King said coldly. If you don't retreat, I can only make you stay here and completely destroy you. The Sect Master of the Heavenly God Sect said. He then looked at the Sect Master of the Desire Poison Sect and said, Brother Wu, why don't we join forces? That's what I was thinking. The Sect Master of the Desire Poison Sect said, Ha ha ha, then let me see what you juniors are capable of. Kill. Spirit-devouring King charged toward the Sect Master of the Heavenly God Sect. Boom! Boom! At the same time, the Sect Masters of the Heavenly God Sect and the Desire Poison Sect unleashed their terrifying auras and charged toward Spirit-devouring King. Instantly, the entire area was covered in white saint light, green poisonous gas, and black smoke. Terrifying rumbles could be heard continuously. Spirit-devouring King is blocked. Let's go. Lu Ming didn't hesitate and took out the Breaking Sky shuttle. The 3 of them stepped into the shuttle and flew away. In the blink of an eye, they disappeared from the area. The Breaking Sky shuttle was extremely fast, but it still took a few minutes for the tremors in the heavenly wind plains to disappear completely. Damn, a great emperor has appeared. That was close. Tian Chui said with lingering fear. An emperor-level figure was too terrifying. After so many years, the Tsang state only had one Emperor Tsang. After that, there was no other emperor. I wonder if the Sect Masters of the Heavenly God Sect and the Desire Poison Sect can stop Spirit-devouring King. Xuening thought. The evil spirit sect was destroyed 80,000 years ago. The spirit-devouring Dharma King was most likely sealed by another Dharch 80,000 years ago. After so many years, he has become extremely weak. However, he is still a Dharch. It's hard to say if there are two absolute saints, Lu Ming said. However, all of this had nothing to do with them. With their strength, it was useless for them to worry. They couldn't interfere at all. Ordinary saints would find it difficult to interfere with such an expert. They would be killed if they tried. I wonder how little Qing is doing. I haven't seen him before. Lu Ming was a little worried. He took out a voice transmission jade talisman and was about to send a voice transmission to Xian Yinqing. However, just as Lu Ming took out the voice transmission jade talisman, he received a voice transmission from Xian Yinqing, asking him how he was. He was full of worry. Since Xian Yinqing had sent him a voice transmission, it meant that Xian Yinqing was fine. Lu Ming heaved a sigh of relief. Then, Lu Ming replied to Xian Yinqing. Through the voice transmission jade talisman, Lu Ming knew that Xian Yinqing was now outside the heavenly wind plains. A saint from the heavenly universe demon sect had come, and she was with this saint. Lu Ming adjusted the direction and flew towards Xian Yinqing. Soon he saw Xian Yinqing. The two chatted for a while and finally said goodbye. Lu Ming, Tian Chue, and the other two stepped on the flying shuttle again and went to Dragon God Valley. The heavenly wind plains was in the west of Tsang State, and Dragon God Valley was in the southeast of Tsang State. It was very far away. Even with the flying shuttle, it would take a long time. 7 days later, they landed in a big city and asked for news. As expected, the news about the heavenly wind plains had already spread throughout Tsang State. Lu Ming and the other two asked around and heard a lot of news. In the heavenly wind plains, the evil spirit sect's spirit-devouring king had returned to the world and killed several saints. In the end, he fought with the two sect masters of the heavenly god sect and the poison sect. That battle was earth-shattering. In the end, spirit-devouring Dharma King was too weak and wasn't a match for the two saints. He was severely injured and escaped with a few saints. As for the remaining evil spirit sect members, they were all killed by the other saints present. Even so, all the major sects in Tsang State were in a state of panic. There were rumors that the evil spirit sect was going to rise from the ashes again. The world was going to be plunged into misery and suffering again. Now, a Dharma King had broken out of the seal. Once he recovered in the future, how could Tsang State stop him without a Dharch? Many people could only hope that there would be Thearch-level figures in the territories outside Tsang State to deal with the evil spirit sect. After Lu Ming and the other two asked around, they continued to step on the flying shuttle and headed for Dragon God Valley. When they returned to the southeast of Tsang State, Lu Ming adjusted the flying shuttle and headed for the Lu family castle. Chapter 1588. Soon, the Lu family fortress came into view. The three of them got off the flying shuttle. After Lu Ming kept the flying shuttle, the three of them flew towards the Lu family fortress. It's young Master Lu. The people of the Lu family fortress recognized Lu Ming immediately and welcomed the three of them into the fortress. Junior Lu Ming actually took in a disciple here. I'd like to meet her. Tian Chue was very curious. Xuanixin was the same. They were still young, which was the golden age for cultivation. Usually they would not take in disciples because it would distract them. They would only consider taking in disciples when they reached a certain age and passed the golden age of cultivation. Lu Ming was so young, and he had taken in a disciple. His disciple would definitely be extraordinary. Lu Ming's eyes were also filled with anticipation. Xiang Xiang's talent was definitely shocking. They had not seen each other for a year. How high was Xiang Xiang's cultivation? Young Master Lu. Lu Zhenghao greeted them from afar. Patriarch Lu, these two are my senior brothers and senior sisters. Lu Ming introduced Tian Chue and Xuanixin to Lu Zhenghao. Lu Zhenghao quickly bowed to Tian Chui and Xuanxin. After that, they went to the main hall of the Lu family fortress. Once they were seated, the maids served them tea. Patriarch Lu, where's Xiang Xiang? Lu Ming asked. Xiang Xiang is cultivating in seclusion. I've already asked Wan Jun to call her. Lu Zhenghao said. Lu Ming nodded and said, Patriarch Lu, Lu Ming has a favor to ask of you. Please speak, young master. As long as the Lu family fortress can do it, I will do it. Lu Zhenghao said. Patriarch Lu, you're exaggerating. It's not a big deal. I have some friends who would like to settle down in the Lu family fortress. Is that okay? Lu Ming said. Of course. How many are there? Lu Zhenghao asked. A few hundred people. Let's go out and take a look. After saying that, Lu Ming walked out of the hall. He arrived at the courtyard outside the hall and waved his hand. Feng Ling and the villagers of the Feng family village all appeared in the courtyard. As soon as Feng Ling and the others appeared, they looked around. Feng Ling, village chief, it's me. Lu Ming said with a smile. You are? Brother Lu? Feng Ling widened her eyes and looked at Lu Ming in surprise. Back then, Lu Ming had disguised himself. Now that he had regained his original appearance, Feng Ling, the village chief, and the others naturally couldn't recognize Lu Ming. It's me. Lu Ming smiled and said, Village chief, we are already in the southeast of Tsang province. How about you all stay here in the future? Brother Lu, I'll do as you say, the village chief said. Young Master Lu, don't worry. I'll ask someone to arrange a place for them to stay. I'll find a good place to settle them down, Lu Zhenghao said. Then he called an elder of the Lu family to bring Feng Ling, the village chief, and the others to settle down. In this way, one of Lu Ming's worries was removed. Master, a clear and crisp voice could be heard. A figure flashed, and a little girl of about 7 or 8 years old appeared in front of Lu Ming. She was Lu Xiangxiang. Xiangxiang was followed by Lu Wanjun. Xiangxiang, why aren't you greeting your master? You don't know the rules. Lu Wanjun reprimanded. Disciple greets master. Xiangxiang obediently bowed to Lu Ming. There's no need for that. Come, let me introduce you. This is my senior brother. You should call him 7th Martial Uncle. This is my senior sister. You should call her 8th Martial Aunt. Lu Ming pointed at Tian Chui and Xuanxin as he introduced them. Xiangxiang greets 7th Martial Uncle and 8th Martial Aunt. Xiangxiang bowed to Tian Chui and Xuanxin obediently. Haha, good girl, this is a gift from 8th Martial Aunt. Xuanxin took out a green orb and gave it to Xiangxiang. It was a martial emperor weapon as a gift. Here, 7th Martial Uncle has a gift for you too. Tian Chui grinned and took out an emperor spirit weapon and gave it to Xiangxiang. Xiangxiang, your cultivation has reached the 9th layer martial emperor realm. At that instant, Lu Ming's eyes flickered with astonishment. I've just reached the 9th layer martial emperor realm a few days ago. Xiangxiang nodded. Lu Ming's eyelids twitched as his heart skipped a beat. 1 year, in just 1 year, Xiangxiang's cultivation had reached the 9th layer martial emperor realm. That speed was too shocking. Furthermore, she had not received any resources from the top sects at the Lu clan fort. Lu Ming was dumbfounded by her speed. It's not bad to reach the 9th layer martial emperor realm at your age. Xiangxiang, how long have you been cultivating? Tian Chui asked. Xiangxiang has been cultivating for a year. A year ago, Master taught me how to cultivate. Xiangxiang said. A year, that's not bad. Wait, what? A year? Tian Chui nodded and immediately reacted. He opened his mouth wider and wider as he stared at Xiangxiang in disbelief. Xuanxin stared with her mouth agape. A year ago, before she had even started cultivating, she had reached the 9th layer martial emperor realm in just a year. Tian Chui and Xue Ningxin were dumbfounded by her speed. Even though they were in the Yuanlu where many geniuses were able to cultivate at a shocking speed, they had never heard of anyone reaching the 9th-layer martial emperor realm in just a year. Beside them, Lu Wanjun and Lu Zhenghao wore excited and relieved smiles. As a matter of fact, they had been shocked by Xiang Xiang's speed of cultivation at the beginning, but they were now filled with excitement. Xiang Xiang blinked her eyes and glanced curiously at the dumbfounded Tian Chui and Xue Ningxin. She could not understand why her martial uncle and martial aunt were acting like this. After a while, Tian Chui and Xue Ningxin finally collected their thoughts. "Junior brother, I'm so jealous of you, to be able to recruit such a great disciple. If I had a disciple like her, even if I don't cultivate, I would teach her well." Tian Chui's gaze toward Lu Ming was filled with jealousy. As her martial uncle, you should teach her more in the future. Lu Ming said with a smile. The group chatted as night fell. Lu Zhenghao prepared a feast for them. That night, Lu Ming and the others stayed at the Lu clan fort. The next morning, Lu Ming bade farewell to Lu Zhenghao and Lu Wanjun. "Mother, Grandpa, take care." Xiang Xiang reluctantly bid farewell to Lu Zhenghao and Lu Wanjun. "Xiang Xiang, you must listen to your master and cultivate well in the Dragon God Valley. Do you understand?" Lu Wanjun's eyes were filled with reluctance as tears began to roll down her cheeks. "Mother, don't cry. Xiang Xiang will find time to visit you." Xiang Xiang said obediently. Following this, Xiang Xiang bade farewell to Lu Zhenghao. "Patriarch Lu, young mistress, see you later." Lu Ming cupped his fists and left with Xiang Xiang, disappearing from the sight of Lu Zhenghao and the others. After flying for a while, Lu Ming took out the piercing sky shuttle. The 4 of them boarded the shuttle and headed toward the Dragon God Valley. You're tuning in to the Thunder Spear YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.